Alrighty, hello guys, and welcome to the J4U podcast. This is our yearly episode where we basically talk about the worst movies of 2018, the worst games of 2018, but also the best movies of 2018 and the best games of 2018, and then some other categories in between. But yeah, this is going to be a long podcast. It is every year, but we just have a good amount of stuff to talk about.
It's like our season finale in a way. It's like the big one.
So, anyway, any kind of housekeeping stuff you guys want to talk about or say?
Housekeeping? You mean...
It's 2019.
It's 2019. Yeah, first podcast of 2019. Woo!
It was the end of 2018, now it's 20... Waiting.
Oh, okay. It's the year of like, okay, nothing's gonna happen this year. Just hold on.
It's 20 DSC Nueve.
Actually, I like that.
Alright, but yeah, welcome. So the first thing we're gonna really get started with then is the worst games of 2018, which, these are the games that either you just were disappointed with, you couldn't stand, or both. So, I guess anyone have the urge to get started, or should I go ahead?
I feel like the people who've actually played games should probably start while I try to search up things I've seen.
I can go ahead. So I basically, for all the gaming stuff, was able to do like a top 3. For gaming for me this year, this was a very nothing year. I didn't do much gaming at all. So, but in terms of worst game 2018, the worst I have for number 3 actually isn't that bad. And there's only one thing about it I don't like. And that's Pokemon Let's Go, which I think, overall, it's a decent Pokemon game, but it does a lot of pandering. I think, 'cause the goal of it, I think, is to bring in new gamers to Pokemon, but I think they lost some of the elements that made Pokemon, like the catching, from what I've seen, is just very disappointing, in my opinion. And, it kind of lacks a lot of the fun battling elements.
That's fair. Because, it does take away the aspect of, from someone who's played it, in older Pokemon games, when you ran into wild Pokemon, you could actually, kill them. Now, you have 2 options. You can catch it or run away.
Yeah, and it's I don't know.
So I will kind of say...
And the co-op I've seen is basically the version of co-op of you have a kid, you put it in their hands, and they pretend to do stuff while you actually play the game.
I haven't tried that, so...
So...
Seems a bit...
The games for me, again, they're releasing another Pokemon, so I kind of am letting Let's Go kind of just slide.
Well, yeah, this is a reskin. It's not an actual new game.
Yeah.
So you have to cut them some slack there. But.
So that's kind of my thoughts on Let's Go there. It's not an awful game, but it's Pokemon in the same way that a lot of movies are, cash grabbing.
Yeah,
it feels like. It's kind of, it's Pokemon in the same way that Once Upon a Deadpool was Deadpool.
Yeah, we're sort of just this is something that can make us a quick amount of money for not have to put in a whole lot of effort.
There's new stuff there. There's a reason to go and see it or play it, but
it's not really enough to.
It's not Oscar-winning, groundbreaking, or game-changing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And even debatable if it even deserves the purchase in the first place. If it's discounted, then maybe, but from what it sounds like at least.
Yeah.
So, Dylan, what do you have up next for worst games?
At number 3? Or...
Yeah, if you were whatever you have, what's your lowest or highest number?
So, the least worst game?
Yes.
I would have to say Assassin's Creed. I haven't played it, but it just kind of looks... I've heard a lot of bad things about it.
See, I feel like I haven't seen enough about this game to know much about it. I can say it. I probably should have put it on my list for the trailer reaction alone. Oh my god, did you see the comments in that video?
Yeah, exactly.
I missaid something, and 20 comments just copy-pasted the same thing. I get it. If there are 5 comments saying I got it wrong, that's fine. And then the rest of the comments should be talking about the game. Not one comment, I think, talking about the game.
Fair enough.
So for that reason alone, yeah, I probably should have put that on my list. But I feel like I haven't seen enough of that game.
That's fair. But, I don't know. It's just... Odyssey wasn't bad. But...
It wasn't great.
Yeah.
Basically. Gotcha. I can feel that. Luke.
Yes, I have like 2 on here, and both I have not even played.
Okay, what you got?
First one I want to talk about is Life is Strange 2. I feel like I can confidently say watching it was fine because, that's more or less just a story game rather than a game. And I have a lot of issues with the first one to begin with, like, mainly just in the department of, like, writing and character development. And it just has the same thing, like, even with new characters and a new environment, it's still the same kind of writing issues. And it just feels... I'm trying to think the best way to describe it. Think, like, 45-year-old man trying to think what kids talk like. That's the best way I can describe, like, the writing.
So, Emoji Movie?
Kind of, yes. I'd say more like bad high school film.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and that's what the first one had, and this one still has it. And, like, there's, like, other stuff. Like, I feel like from, like, the aesthetic it's going for was kind of cool for the first one, like, considering, like the story behind it. But, like, this one, it just doesn't feel as warranted. The aesthetic feels a bit, like, I guess, sort of overplayed a little bit.
So, in your opinion, would you say this is better or worse than the first game?
I'd say it's basically just on the same level, honestly, and that's kind of probably the most disappointing thing about it. Because, like, it has really interesting concepts that it could have gone with, but it doesn't, and just sort of is a flat line throughout most of it.
Okay.
But yeah, like, I watched it through, like, Let's Plays of it, and a lot of people kind of pointed out, like, really annoying inconsistencies within the story, and not, like, really, like, weird nitpick stuff that's, like, pretty obvious from the get-go.
That's fair.
But
so the next game I have in terms of worst games is another game that was more so just striking the... I think all 3 of these were just kind of striking the disappointment note. And this is the game I actually went to bat for at first. But then, because when the beta came out, I was like, no, guys, let's wait and see. And the actual game came out, and I was like, shit, you're right. Okay. And that is Sea of Thieves, which is a game that, when the beta came out, I was like, this looks awesome. This has potential. No, it's not perfect, but it's a beta. Betas are never perfect. Like, if it's a perfect beta, it's not the beta, it's the game.
It's the finished product.
But then the game came out, and it was pretty much not any different from the beta. It had all the same problems, and I'd say even some more issues, which is odd to me.
When's the last time that you saw something?
And some updates have made it better.
Yeah, it has gotten better.
It has gotten better,
state of the game,
I don't like the mentality that games have nowadays, where they can release an unfinished game like, what was it? Something Skies. No Man's Sky.
Yeah, No Man's Sky.
Did that same thing. Destiny did that same game. I think, Timefall didn't really, but it had some updates and improved. But I don't like the idea of companies releasing unfinished games. It just feels like a cheap way to get quick money.
We shouldn't encourage it.
Yeah, and again, so I'm talking about release game Sea of Thieves. And even some of the better stuff, I feel like it's still not quite, in my mind, what I hoped it would be when the beta came out.
That's fine.
So, yeah. It's a game that I can see myself messing around with for, 30 minutes or so. It's not a game that's like, it doesn't have the playability.
5 in the morning.
Yeah, it doesn't have the playability that I hoped that game would.
That makes sense. So the next game on my list, would be Black Ops 4. I don't know, it's just overall kind of disappointing, and I really shouldn't be surprised. I'm just glad that I canceled my pre-order because Blackout, I didn't really enjoy it that much. Multiplayer is the same old multiplayer.
Which, by now, same old multiplayer is not a good thing anymore.
No, it's not. So they go from tech, then they go to World War II, then they get rid of all the tech, and then they just bring it right back.
Yeah.
And it just really bugs me, and it's just overall underwhelming, and it's not a $60 game whatsoever to me anymore.
And while I appreciate the ballsiness, I don't think the zombies campaign idea paid off in terms of, like, I remember, again, back in the Modern Warfare days and the Black Ops 1 and 2 kind of days, like, I don't even know about 2, but 1 for sure, like, I bought the games for the story.
Yeah, the campaign.
Like, from what I've seen of the zombies campaign, it's like
Yeah.
you made zombies maps and wrote a story around it.
Yeah, exactly. So overall, it's disappointing, and it deserves to be on there. Because right now, it's not a $60 game.
Yeah, I think Blackout is good, but it's not worth the whole game.
It's not worth paying the whole game. And yeah, even now that they've started selling Blackout just on its own, it's not worth it to me. There's other battle royales that I'd rather play for free.
Yeah.
So,
like, that's kind of the thing there.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like, there are some that... Because is Fortnite free? Or
Yes,
yeah, Fortnite's free.
Okay.
It has constant updates and all
The
of
updates are also, like, game-changing. It's like a new game every time.
Almost every week, if not, or at least every other week, there's a altering.
Yeah.
So I think in Fortnite, they've really claimed the Battle Royale scene to where it's like, if Fortnite wasn't a thing, I think Blackout would be owning right now.
Well, yeah,
But just because you got that night and day comparison.
they've made $3 billion last year, so.
That's a lot of money. Holy shit.
So, yeah, that's fair.
Alright, so I'm actually glad that you described your game as not worth paying $60 because I'm pretty sure this one was more than $60. And again, it's a game I never played, but I saw a lot of video footage on and even saw a little bit of some playthroughs of it. Fallout 76. I'd say that's a definite,
So is that your number
That's
one? That's my number one. So
Damn.
all of us have that other number one worst game of the year.
So should we just basically all talk about it
Yeah,
at the
let's
same
all
time?
talk about it, but Luke, you get started.
Alright, so... Yeah. What the fuck? Like, I don't feel like there's any other better way to describe it. Like, that... Like, it's kind of like a culmination of, like, so much hype into, like, one project, but not delivering on the quality or the content that you promised.
Yep.
Kind of it's like this year's, like, it was, or last year's No Man's Sky in a way, where it was, like, so much possibility behind it, only for it to just collapse in and under itself.
Because a multiplayer Fallout game...
Conceptually sounds amazing.
Exactly, yes.
Like, when I first heard it announced, and I was like, there's multiplayer, and I was like, it sold me, I want it. And then, as everything started to come out, I was like, no.
Yeah, just sort of downward spiral.
And something I will think it's kind of funny is that they went through the works of having, I don't know if you saw or heard about it, but there was a huge stream of the game, of the beta when it came out. They had Ninja, Logic, Marshmallow, and Rick and Morty all playing Fallout 76.
Wow. So we know where their budget went.
And they had to they were, like, you could tell they weren't really enjoying the game at all, but they had, like, you could tell that they were basically under a contract to try and sell the game.
Yeah, like, it wasn't their...
What's disappointed Marshmallow look like? Just his face is...
No, I'm just, like, you could just tell that they just weren't putting as much energy as I've seen them have previously.
So, wow, I just love the idea of Marshmallow's body language.
No, he just turns his head, and it's a sad face on the other side.
like a multi-faced monster.
That's incredible.
But I just think it's funny that they had to go through that to even try and sell the game, and that didn't even really sell the game. That made it worse almost.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, a multiplayer Fallout sounds like it'd be really fun, but I think also the more I think about it on paper, especially if they kept, like, some of the components they were talking about, it's like...
That's as weird in multiplayer.
Yeah.
Regardless, there's no way I think they could have nailed that.
Which is why they should not have marketed that way. Maybe they should have taken aspects of it out and not be like, hey guys, you can do literally everything in the universe in this game.
Yeah.
And instead they're just like, here's Diet Fallout.
That's a great way to say it. It's Diet Fallout.
Yeah, it's zero Diet Fallout.
And what's it called? And I will say, graphically, it didn't look that good either.
It looked same, if not worse, in some elements of Fallout 4.
It's worse, in my opinion. And it's buggy.
Yes,
there's so much rubber banding. And again, I think we talked about it on a previous podcast. It's probably a game that a year from now, if they work on it, if they decide to update it and work on it, it could probably be a decent game. But as the release date is not good.
Yeah.
It'll be like one of two things. It will be like they'll upgrade and then maybe it'll collectively gain some more people back, or it'll be discount ban hell.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, have they officially announced that they're going to long-term support the game? Because I haven't heard anything about them saying it. This could totally be a game that they release, take the hit for, and work on the next Fallout.
Yeah. It feels so weird to me because, like, stuff like massive multiplayer games, like, once they finally die out, they're basically just sort of like, that's a game you can never play anymore.
Yeah, because if you love this game...
Yeah, like, somehow if there's, like, the 2 people on planet Earth who like Fallout 76, and they're like, I actually like this game and would enjoy playing it, that's like, my issue with, like, super, like, online games. Like, at some point, they're gonna die out, and then it's just gonna be a dead husk of a game that you can't really play in. With
that said, doesn't make it probably much different than the server status right now, and all, especially because, like, even the people who are playing it, it's the weirdest multiplayer game because you don't have to interact with anybody.
Yeah, like, that's also the other thing.
So maybe it doesn't make that much of a difference. Like, to be frank, like you get the same items, you still don't have to fight anyone. It's like
why the fuck make it multiplayer?
But then at that point, you might as well just play Fallout 4.
Yeah,
you're just gonna play by yourself.
It's downgraded Fallout 4, except there's more people on your screen.
Fallout 4 was a good game.
Yeah, Fallout 4 was a good game.
And I think part of it is it also had a great story. This game, well, some would debate that, but from what I've seen, I've enjoyed it. But like this game's story, from everything I've seen, is like, go here, you got it. Now go here, you got that.
All right, now walk around and do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's
more of an open.
It's a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
You know what? The more I think about it, this game is just like the George Lucas remastered cut of Fallout games, where it's basically just the same, but they somehow made it worse.
Alrighty.
I do want to give one more honorable mention for worst game, which would be Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
I've seen a little bit, but not much, because I kind of got bored, if I'm being frank.
Well, that's exactly my issue, is that it's just another Tomb Raider game, and the Tomb Raider games, they've, like, even the one before this one was a stretch, and I don't think it should have existed. And it's just like they're trying to sell a story that isn't there.
Yeah, and then again, I remember from when I was watching the campaign, I saw a little bit, I was like, oh, I'm kind of hooked, and then the pacing just halted, and I was like, actually, I'm good, I got other things I could be doing right now, I'm just gonna...
just like,
errands to run.
That's my honorable mention.
Okay, that's fair. So, the next category we have to talk about are wishlist games of 2018. So, these are the games that we wanted to play, but either due to money or time, we didn't get around to it. So... I'll get started. My number 3 wishlist game of 2018 is Hitman 2, actually, because it's basically Hitman 1. If you like Hitman 1, you like this game. It's basically a DLC that they expanded upon. But with that said, I think I like it because the new maps are big. There's still very that Hitman-y stuff to do.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a game that I could see myself playing and then just replaying levels to, like, let me kill this guy a different way. Oh, that was fun. Let me do it this way now. And just, like...
Yeah, exactly.
I could see myself getting lost in that game, but granted, it's Hitman 1.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So...
my number 3 would be Monster Hunter World. From what I've seen, it looks phenomenal. But I just never got around to playing it. So if it ends up, I mean, I'm sure it's probably in a discount bin somewhere, or at least cheaper than it was. So maybe one day.
So Luke,
I'm trying to like see which ones I haven't played yet. Oh, okay, now I have some. I actually have a pretty good amount because again, I've seen a lot of video game stuff, but I've never been able to actually play any of them.
I feel like this should be the easiest category for you in terms of gaming.
So yeah, like I actually have a good like 5 I could think of. I won't go in any order because I can't think of like a specific order. Number 5 would probably have to be the Spyro Remastered trilogy because I'm a fucking like shill for 3D platformer games, especially like kind of ones that are in like late 90s, early 2000s kind of stylistic choices. And I've even played some of these Spyro games like when I was younger, and This just looks like so much fun, and I really would like to play it. It looks pretty. If one thing, though, I don't know if this is like a mechanic or a thing that you can actually do in the game, but I would like it if there's something where you can like change back to like PS1 graphics.
You can't, but I agree that would be cool. And I think that's because they had to physically change like some of the space a little bit.
Yeah, which is understandable, but I don't know. I know some people are like PS1 3D graphics is like gross, but I don't know. I think it has a charm. I enjoy it, but
it has a charm. But I will say I like being able to go, oh, that's what I'm looking at. Oh,
that's
okay.
true.
Rather
That's
than having
true.
to try and wait, hold on, let me stare at this for 10 minutes and figure out what this is.
Like that's a box. I'm talking to a box. That's
Uh-huh.
a bug? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I guess like it removes the sort of like early PS1 if something's far away it looks like a dot, but like when you go over to it then it just becomes detailed out of nowhere.
It looks beautiful, I will say.
Yeah.
Yes, that does look absolutely
I will
gorgeous.
say that's my number one wishlist game for the year.
Mm.
And the sad thing is that I own it. I just haven't played it yet.
Ah,
So I don't know what my excuse. I have no excuse for that one.
fair
It's
enough.
not even a time or money thing. It's just it is probably a time thing, but
I mean, fair enough.
Alright, so my number 2 wishlist game is God of War.
Mm.
It's a game that it's the money aspect of paying $60 game. It's a great game. I don't think I have the time to invest in that game because it's a long game.
Yeah.
But it looks incredible. Graphically, story-wise, gameplay-wise. Like, they nailed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's my number 2 as well. Just because it looks beautiful. The story, like, it's basically the same. Had Red Dead not been like a part of my childhood, like they're on the same level to me. But since Red Dead was a part of my childhood, Red Dead goes up a little bit. But it's like they're on the same level, but there's some nostalgia that. What?
Nothing. That was a bad joke.
There's some nostalgia that boosts it above, but they're comparable in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, same. God of War is also going to be on my list. I just like. I also kind of like that it's now moved away from like it was like the Greek mythology aspect to like Norse mythology.
I'm glad they didn't try going Greek again. Like,
Yeah.
there's more people for him to kill.
Yeah, it's like
We promise.
how many more Greek gods are there? You're gonna kill all of them? Holy shit!
Not even gods. It's just like Tim. He's Greek. He has a restaurant.
There's the guy who makes bread.
If you look at his Ancestry.com, 5 generations back, he has a little piece of Greek in
The
him.
game's just full on genocide.
Yeah, I mean it basically is, but now it's like on Norse mythology, which I think is much more interesting because it's not as commonly known.
Well, and most people who do know it go like, oh yeah, Marvel.
Yeah, like
this is like no, we're actual
like
talking Norse.
actual Norse mythology rather than like Marvel, where it's more just it's there for the aesthetic.
Ragnarok, the apocalypse, not the movie. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I just like, and I also kind of like some of the like game design behind it. Like the combat looks a lot of fun, and I also like that the game kind of seamlessly goes from cutscene into gameplay.
Yes.
And the fact that it's basically like a one take throughout the whole game, if you don't die, that is.
For a game that long.
Yeah. And also, like, it like, from footage I've seen, it looks super great from, like, a story perspective, too. Also, you wanna know something really fucking cool? The kid in the game is played by the kid from mid-90s.
Yep.
And I'm just like, dang, you got range.
Yeah, I mean, a great year for him. Let's talk about that. Wow.
Yeah. But, like, it just looks really interesting, and especially just, like, mostly just, like, the gameplay looks like it's a lot of, like really snappy combat, and the story just looks really interesting, and I would like to play it, but I don't have a PS4, so, yeah.
Yeah, and then the number 1 wishlist game that I have is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Because see that too.
Yeah, and it's weird because I bought it technically, but I bought it for the company, so I haven't played it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Like, it's on my credit card receipt, but
I've seen people play it.
Yeah, like
you guys specifically.
Yeah, I played it for 10 minutes, so I couldn't put it on my wish list.
Yeah, I counted, damn it. But yeah, it's a game that I know people, and I could see myself doing this, just lose myself in that game. Just like, oh, I don't have anything to do today. It's been 12 hours already? Damn, I just...
Bullshit.
Oh, I have a 12-page paper to write? I don't care.
Yeah, it's like, it's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
Like, you have to at least invest yourself for an hour or two every time you... Like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to sit and play for 10 minutes. Like, there's some games where you're like, okay, 10 minutes, that's it. And then get out. But, like, some games you just can't... that game, you can't do that.
And the potential that online has, ooh.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
But yeah, like...
I think the game speaks for itself, too.
It pretty much does, yeah. And I'm just like... I just love how cinematic it's been, and just like the detail in it, and you know,
insane detail.
Yeah, like an insane amount of detail.
You know what I can't wait for? The PC version. You know how beautiful that's gonna look?
It is going to be. And I know this is probably not the main note of Red Dead Redemption 2. It makes me excited for GTA 6. The fact that they can put that much effort into a game, like
Oh no, the fact that Red Dead Redemption 2 did so well. It just delays GTA 6, to be honest.
Which I'm okay with, though, because that means it's going to be graphically so much more superior if it comes out farther in the future.
Well, yeah, because
that. Yeah, and also that, you know, it allows them to put in more time into Red Dead 2 to add more stuff to it. That, like, once they feel like it's a completed game, then it's like more than a complete game.
Yeah.
It's like 2 games like worth of content.
And I mean, GTA's had their focus for how many years now? Let Red Dead shine.
Yeah,
I can
GTA
wait.
And GTA Online are still thriving.
Yeah, seriously,
they're pumping
updates.
out. They're pumping out like 12 DLCs a year, at least.
Yeah,
and they're like big updates. Like,
so
you have to have a lot of money, but
of
still,
course.
Yeah, they're still big updates. So. It's like one of those things, if you've been playing since the beginning, you're okay. But if you're trying to jump in now,
I made the mistake
over.
of trying to jump in
that's where I jumped
like
in.
a year or two ago. And it's like, oh, no, I'm too far.
Oh, you don't have $12 million? Sorry, you can't do anything.
Because you either need to have that or pay the real money. Because they're like, it's to the point where their vehicle is so crazy. It's like, yeah, this costs $100 real dollars. It's like,
exactly.
Or, you know, 20 million game dollars.
Which currency. And it's like, oh, do you have any rich friends? Okay, well, nope, you gotta buy it, or else don't play.
Yeah, YouTubers are play since the beginning, really is.
Yeah, exactly.
What you gotta do.
But yeah, let's get back on track.
Yes. So, you have more games, Luke?
Or? Yeah, I have 2 more. There was one, it's sort of a smaller game, but the developers made a game that I really, really enjoy and is just interesting from a conceptual standpoint. It's called Return of the Obra Dinn. It's like a pirate investigator game. It's essentially, it's a game where you're a sort of like old-timey private detective coming onto a pirate ship. It's like, that's how old-timey it is.
Okay.
Like, it's that little...
That's much better than what my brain went to.
Yeah, exactly.
I just imagine noir guy sitting in the chair with a hook, like...
Yeah.
She walked into the office.
Yeah,
and
like...
He thought was... Arr.
No, like, it would be so old-timey. It's basically like Sherlock Holmes, like, time period, essentially. But you find yourself on, like, a pirate ship, and everyone has died, and your mission is... You have an ability to kind of find the last moments in a person's life and try to stitch together the whole situation that happened on this pirate ship. It was, made by the guy who made this game called Papers, Please, which I really, really love that game. It's both, like... It's great because the gameplay can also tell you the story, rather than them being, like, separated from each other. Having to develop them on, like, separate ground. But, like, from the looks of it, it's kind of the same thing here. You get the story through the gameplay, and it kind of has, like, a Game Boy Color look to it, even though it's kind of in 3D as well. And it's a little disorienting from some of the footage I've seen, but, like, you get used to it after a while. But it's just really interesting from, like, a conceptual standpoint, kind of like a detective that can see last moments in a person's life. Then you have to use every person's to try to stitch together, like, the whole situation. Like, who used this? Why was this person doing that? Kind of thing. And, yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I've taken it back. I've heard of it. I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like, it was in beta for a while, but now it's actually, like, a release game. And my number 1, my actual, like, legit number 1 is Spider-Man, because...
yes.
I've seen everybody, even you guys, play Spider-Man, and I'm just sitting in the corner like... I want to play Spider-Man. I want to play Spider-Man, please. And, yeah. And considering, like, one of the games I've been playing the most recently was a GameCube Spider-Man game. I'm just like, that's basically my way of coping with the fact that I can't play it and probably never will.
Yeah, and also on the note of Spider-Man, they had an amazing Christmas present to people who have the game.
Was
Like,
the Raimi suit?
The Raimi suit.
That,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it looks so good in the game.
Yeah, I've seen
Like, I wasn't one of the people, like, yelling, "Give me Raimi suit!" But now I get why they were doing that, because it looks good.
Yeah.
Now you're like, can I go back and do that?
Yeah, like, that's... It's a
Alright.
pretty suit. Anyway. So yeah, that's Wishlist Games. So now, we have the section which is Best Games of 2018. These are the games that we played and just love and are so happy they came out this year.
Yeah.
So for me, the first one is probably going to surprise some people. It came out pretty early in the year and got a little buzz, nothing huge, but was A Way Out, actually.
Yeah.
It was made by kind of smaller, more indie level developers, and it has some weird flaws to it because of that. Like, it's very clear when they did the voiceovers, they had the actors in the room just saying line by line in the script.
Yeah.
So conversations are awkward
they're
as
super
hell.
stilted.
They don't feel like conversations.
But on a technical side, I like the story. I find interesting, and then just the variety and things that you can do. Like, every level has little things you can interact with, and it's just like it. I don't know. It both messes with the pacing, but in the best way possible. Like, you'll be walking around and see two people playing baseball, and then you can be like, "Hey, can I see that?" And then you can play baseball.
Then you can just like interact with them in that situation.
And then also the split screen story game is like, that's a concept that I hope more games do.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
That's like it's just sort of like the little like individual moments. I kind of like it, from what it looks like, it's kind of episodic, but at some point it kind of leads to the actual like to an actual conclusion in some areas.
So anyway, Dylan.
So I have 4 in this category. So first, like the lowest one, I'd say was probably God of War, like because it is still one of the better games, but
Yeah.
we already talked about
we
it.
talked
so
about
I
it.
don't
We
really
talked
need
about
to
it. Okay, that's
re-talk
fair.
about it.
Okay, Luke.
All right, so I think I actually have a full 5. There's another one that I want to add in. Some of them aren't games that were released this year, but it's more just games I've played in general.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I do have 5. My number 5 is a weird one because it's sort of debatable if it's a game. It's Black Mirror Bandersnatch. Do you know what that is?
I do not.
Oh,
So-
it's the interactive Netflix episode.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
It was an episode of the Netflix series Black Mirror, which essentially it's played out as a choose your own adventure style of game, but it's a film still, technically.
Yeah, it's not. I don't. We can talk about it, but I don't really consider it a game.
I don't have much choice in this point.
With that said, I'm pretty sure Netflix, they either did or are about to put out Minecraft Story Mode on Netflix.
Oh no, they already
They did.
Like,
They
that's
already
a game, but it's on Netflix. So
yeah, but I know what he's talking about, and I don't fully consider it
Yeah.
a game. But
Same here. I'm just like I'm trying to just bullshit at this point.
I mean, you don't need 5. You can 3's okay.
I don't know. I kind of just want to talk about it though because I think it's interesting.
yeah, that's fair. We haven't talked about it yet. So.
Yeah, because
And I haven't watched it yet because I'm way behind on Black Mirror. Not that it matters.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Since it's like every episode is kind of distant from each other.
I just don't want to miss any, really.
That's fair enough. But yeah, like I think it's like a fun concept. The reason it's like the bottom is because it really is messy. It is like super messy in a lot of areas. Cause
Well, and like if you die, you have to start all over.
yeah, well, I mean, like not from the not like have to like make the first decision. At least
Well,
it like
yeah.
goes through all of it for you.
Yeah, I know.
But like
Still.
my main issue is that like there's some choices that don't really even matter all that much. Like it doesn't really affect anything within the ending. Like there's literally some situations that no matter what you choose, you're just going to get the same outcome regardless. And so I feel like to some extent it's a bit messy, but I do like the choices that you do make that do have some effect can create some really fun story alternatives. Like there's one that leads to a more like pretty straightforward ending, then there's one that leads to like a more like weird fourth wall breaking ending, and just like so on and so forth. And to some extent, I can kind of see why some of the choices are like you don't really have a choice, because it's Black Mirror and they're gonna have to have the really dark message at the end in some way. But I think it was a really fun concept, and I really enjoyed it, even though like it isn't technically that great. But again, like I haven't played enough games to really say like any ones that I would consider bad.
Fair. So the next game that I have to talk about, funny, we did the podcast today, but it's Mario Party. Because I've dabbled a little bit in the previous Mario parties. This is the only game that I've actually played a decent amount of, and man, is it fun! And I like the new mechanics they added. Like the idea that every character has their unique dice block. Could get messy, but it adds. I don't know. It can add a little bit extra flair to the game.
That's fair.
Because I'll say it right now, I like to play Bowser because he's very high risk, high reward, and that's just fun to me. And allies, they take away some of the strategy, but it really is game changing.
Yeah, and I think my description of the game would be that it's just completely RNG. Like you could win every mini game and still lose the game.
Well, that's Mario Party in general, though.
Well, yeah, but it's more so in this Mario Party than ever before. Like, in my opinion, in the other Mario, like the Wii Mario parties, like there's at least a little bit of skill.
A little bit, yeah.
But right now, like every skill, everything you know about skill, it's just out the window. Skill doesn't exist.
It's kind of, I'd say it's the equivalent of like going into like a roller coaster you've never been into. It's like you don't really know what's gonna happen. You're just gonna enjoy the ride.
The game is basically you could be up 2 stars, on that last round, and then bonus stars are just 2 random ones that one person lucks out on, and because of coins you lost.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's like stuff like that is a pretty common occurrence.
Like Mario Party is a player in the game.
Yeah.
And their goal isn't to win; it's for them to have fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's.
So I mean, I will agree the game's fun, but it didn't make my list. So the next one we've already talked about. I would have to say, or no, we haven't talked about it. Would be Smash.
I was gonna talk about that at some point too. Yeah.
It's a classic game, and I like I don't know. It's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun with a lot of people. Like playing it by yourself isn't that enjoyable. The story mode's cool and all. It has a cool concept behind it. So I'm not fully sold on that, but the actual multiplayer itself is worth the $60, which is saying a lot because it's just the same thing over and over again. I'll say
with all the map variety and all the characters they add, it's I think more playable on that side of things.
Yeah, and surprisingly, considering you are just doing the same thing over and over again, the fact that I feel it is worth the $60 is pretty crazy. That means they did their job.
Yeah. I guess Smash is kind of also on my list, but not necessarily like Switch, even though I did play that, but just basically all iterations of Smash Brothers, because I don't have a Switch, so I just had to play the Wii U
version. Well, you're
version.
damn good at Smash, so...
I mean, I guess. The Wii U version, more or less. Not really Switch, though, because I'm that's the thing that
You and Willie were still just destroying.
I don't know.
We had to gang up on you in moments. Don't be like, oh.
I don't like bragging, alright, dude. I don't know what to say. But, I've freaking played Smash for as long as I can remember. But, yeah, I love seeing, the newest updates of the game, with going from Melee to Wii to Wii U to now Switch. Because, for a little bit, I was sort of like, Switch just looks like Wii U version, but with, little changes. But now seeing what it is, it's like, no, there's, a million changes, and it's, now it's a completely different game, and, the way it feels and the way it plays. And I just love the series so much, because it's something that, it's literally anyone can play. You could be someone who's, super expert, wanting to know how to do, all the specific, quirks and moves. Or you could just be,
me, press 90% of the people in Button Smash.
Yeah. Which is fun, because, it's great, because it's, a game where anyone can be good at it, I'd say. You don't have to be, super professional at it. You can just play it for the sake of playing it, or you can be like super into it.
And the funny thing is, it's like when you're R button smashing and then you accidentally kill yourself, like you get a laugh out of it.
Yeah,
and
yeah, like
it's just an overall good time, and the more people you have, the funner it is. I feel.
Yeah, and exactly, it's like it can be both of like intense professionalism, but it's also more or less just fun. It's so fun to play. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Smash series as a whole.
Fair. Alright, so the last game I have to talk about, for my best game of 2018 is Spider-Man PS4. Because just the story, the actual gameplay, it captured everything that Arkham did right. But then with the new Spider-Man web swinging around the city twist is just icing on the cake. And it's just, I don't know, it's a game that I don't own it, but I've played a decent amount of it, and it's just always fun.
Yeah.
Like, just doing nothing but swinging around the city, stopping crime. Like, that stuff is fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And graphically, with all the suits and just the city in general, it's pretty. Like, it's an amazing game.
Yeah.
And I'm just a comic book nerd, so I just fell in love with that game.
Fair enough.
So that was my number one on there as well, and basically for the same reason you said. And then the other game that I'll throw in, since we've already talked about it, would be Red Dead, obviously.
But alright, so I've got... Alright, so now change it so it's 4, so instead of like 5, I'll just do the 4. One that was more kind of one of my lesser favorite games was Deltarune, which was the was kind of like a spiritual sequel to Undertale, I guess. But it was good, and I feel like they had some really nice changes in terms of like the interface for the game whenever you had like encounters with an enemy, and I felt they were cool, but like the thing that dragged it down for me was like the characters and the story weren't as engaging this time. Like I feel like Undertale was sort of like a lightning in a bottle situation where it's like, oh, everything kind of works in conglomeration with each other, whereas this is more like the gameplay is fun, but it is a bit tedious with some aspects of the characters, because like there's things in the original game where it's like characters will kind of affect how the gameplay works, and while it can be tedious, there's still like a fun aspect to it, like, you know, doing the pacifist route or the genocide route or anything like that. Whereas this, some of the kind of annoying like things from characters are sort of more of mandatory, and they just really bog the game down. Like if you try to do pacifist route in this game, it's fucking obnoxious for like the first half hour, because you have a character who is essentially just a killmonger for like the entire thing, and you're trying to be like, hey, don't do that, stop. It's not allowed.
Are we talking about best games of 2018, or are we talking about a different category?
No, I'm just saying, like, I enjoyed it still. It's just like I still enjoyed the characters for the most part, and that, but like I'd say of the games of my best, it's sort of my least favorite, but it still has, it's definitely not bad at all.
Enough redeeming factors.
Yeah, it's still a good game, and I enjoyed it enough. It's just, there's a lot of quibbles I have with it, but like a lot of other people don't seem to mind that much, so maybe I'm just dumb. But
and I went through all mine, so
I already went.
Alright, so favorite game, it's not even a game that came out in 2018, but I've been playing it like non-stop for the past couple of days, was Breath of the Wild, because I finally got around to actually getting that game, and it is the goddamn shit, my dude. I'm like so like enamored with it, like what you guys were saying with like Red Dead, where you could like lose yourself in playing it for a while. That's kind of how I felt with this, because the fun part isn't even as much like doing the quests or anything, but just like exploring like the vast overworld with like such a beautiful atmosphere and like locations, and just the fact that you could literally just be walking like, hey, there's like an entire tribe of like enemies right there, I'ma go kill them. Yeah. And just like there's so many like fun situations you kind of just get out from like just random encounters like that, because one of my favorites was I was like on the top of like this big mountain, and I saw like basically like one of the most powerful enemies in the game, and I'm just like, you have this ability to kind of create like an energy bomb that you can like recharge every like 2 minutes or so, and I'm just like, I'm gonna fuck with them, and just threw bombs at the bottom and be like detonate them, and they'd be like, where the fuck was that, where did that come from? And they're just like looking around, and I was just doing that for like 20 minutes until I decided to just kind of like fly over them and be like, ha, bye. But stuff like that, and just like I feel like one other thing this game does well is like the NPCs are really fun as well, because like other Zelda games are more like, have you ever heard of the ancient tribes or something like that, where they're just sort of like, they're either like really off-putting or just not really all that interesting, but like the characters make it much more alive in that sense. Also, I kind of get the weird impression that everybody in Hyrule wants to fuck Link, like not just like oh, like just some characters, like literally everybody. Like there's at least at some point someone will say something.
The final boss fight against Ganon, just
he just wants to fuck you. That's a gross thought, but
I am Ganon Dick.
I'm Ganon Dick. But yeah, it's just like so much fun, and even at points when like the game is like, when you're trying to travel and then there's like so many enemies that try to overpower you, and it kind of gets a little aggravating, it's still fun because of the atmosphere and just that's the main thing. I just love coming back to like the atmosphere of like the overworld, and that's why I really love it.
Yeah, and I guess the one thing I want to say about it is Nintendo's been really kicking ass the past 2 years. Like I think the Switch has been more successful than I ever thought it could have been.
Yeah,
which is a good thing, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
so, yeah. Anyway, anticipated. So this final category we have for games is our anticipated games for 2019. The games that haven't come out yet, but from everything we've seen about it, we're interested in and would love to play. Now, I'll say at least for me, when I came up with my list, I was looking at the games for 2019 and it was like, I don't think I'm really all that crazy about any of these.
Like, kind of had to like force them in there a little bit.
Yeah, like I don't think any of these games are games I'll ever play.
Well, and I'm sure there's more games that are coming out that didn't end up on that list.
Exactly.
Like I'll see an ad for it and I'm like, oh, that's coming out this year, and it's like, oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of hoping that that's the case. And there's really only one game on here that I saw was like, that's the shit. So. Yeah, but my game number 3, which I don't know anything about, and apparently no one else does other than the title being announced, is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is the Star Wars game. Doesn't have anything to do with Episode 9, I don't think, but it comes out around then. And it's apparently a new Star Wars game. So, based on track record, it could either be amazing or dog shit. So it's kind of, that's the spectrum there. So I'm hoping it's more on the amazing side. And not a... Well, I mean, Battlefront 2 didn't do that bad. Let's just throw another game.
Yeah, just like another of that quality and annoyance.
So, hopefully Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is going to be good. Again, nothing about it, but I can hope.
Yeah, it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, my number 3 most anticipated game would be,
I love I'm so hyped for
Same here.
The
graphics are great.
Metro.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It caught my attention, so we'll see. That's all I got to say.
Alright, Luke?
I literally just have one, and I don't even know if it's coming out in 2019. But like...
Nothing. I just totally can't believe I forgot a game. Go ahead.
Okay. Literally the only one I have, and it's basically just my most anticipated until it actually comes out, is Metroid Prime 4. And yeah, I
think it is coming out this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just... It's literally... They only literally just announced it's a thing that is existing, but I'm still hyped for it regardless. And I feel like I'm just gonna be, like, hopelessly waiting for it for, like, a while before I even see anything about it. But, yeah, I just fucking love Metroid Prime. That's my main consensus on that.
Go ahead, Nick.
Okay. So, yeah, there's a game I totally forgot, so I have 4, but 3 now. So, my actual number 3 game, for... Actually, no, I'll just bump my number, my other one. Never mind, it's good. I have 3 again.
No, just keep the other one. You can have 4.
Doom Eternal. I'll have 4. So Doom Eternal, which the first Doom, I played a little bit of it, nothing crazy. I was curious about the new direction. It's another Doom game, so if it's better than the most recent one, I'll be excited. If it's less than, that'll be disappointing. Because the other Doom, was a good game, but it wasn't just my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And it I don't know, it wasn't enough for me to be like, I'll pay $60 for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Doom Eternal could have potential, so I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, Dylan?
Okay, I'm gonna have to say Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh yeah.
So, to be honest, I've never played any of the other Kingdom Hearts, but I saw the trailer for the third one, and it makes me want to go back and play the other ones so I can play the third one, because it just looks that good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Side note about that, I have someone I know up at NAU who's a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. I asked him to explain the story to me, and boy was that entertaining.
That's
because from someone who's passionate about the games, it'd be like, all right, sit down. It's gonna be weird, but just bear with me. It's like,
I know a little bit about Kingdom Hearts, but like I know pretty much from the get go that like the story is just like so weirdly convoluted.
I practically needed to map it out.
So basically, the story is just a giant mess, and there isn't really a story, but there is a story, and you just have to. You're not gonna really follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
like he's played all the games multiple times, and still there are moments where like
he's like
that happens for a reason, and then
where he like questions it. Okay.
I like to think of it as like the same way that people map out like the plot of like Metal Gear, where it's like they don't actually know what the fuck the whole like story is supposed to be, but they can like detail like certain specific like trademarks of it that show up every once in a while, like the darkness is a representation of or something like that, and little things like that.
So Luke, what do you have?
He said he was done.
You're done?
Yeah,
you're okay, gotcha.
It's only
that's right. I forgot about that. Okay. So the next game, which is actually a game that I'm like, that looks cool, is Ultimate Alliance 3. Because I'm a fan of the other two Ultimate Alliances. More so the first one. The first one's the game that I think I've beaten it or come close to beating it. The second game, I've started a couple times, and I don't think I've gone that far into it, but I dig the premise.
Yeah.
This one, I am happy to see Thanos in an Ultimate Alliance game. It's very cash grab, I'll say that, because it's literally like, the MCU's doing great. People know who Thanos is. Fuck it. Just throw him in. It's all of the, like, MCU designs of characters for a lot of them, which I kind of, like, I'd go more comic-y. Which, to be fair, like, there's some more comic-y. Spider-Man's he's in a new suit, not a homecoming or anything like that.
That's good.
And, like, Gamora's more comic Gamora. But, like, you see Iron Man and you're like, that's based off MCU. You see Cap and it's like, that's
MCU.
Chris Evans right there. It's like, and the graphics are, I mean, they were never like, I take that back, actually. For the time, the Ultimate Alliance games had awesome graphics. This a more cartoony aspect, which I think is a Switch exclusive. I could be wrong about that, so it kind of might make more sense that way. But the other Ultimate Alliance, like, that looks like either a movie scene or, like, gritty. Like, real. Yeah. The cartoony aspect, I'm like, but just the idea of the whole Marvel universe having to team up to stop Thanos from collecting the Infinity Wars in a video game sounds awesome to me.
That could be actually like a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah, because they got like Ultrons in the game. They showed Green Goblin with one of the Infinity Stones. Like,
yeah,
MCU can't even do that stuff. Like, I'm excited. So
exactly.
that's one of the games that's like, please be good, because that looks like it has potential.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like there's a lot of stuff with the MCU and just Marvel in general that you could like make into like some really fun concepts, and I feel like Infinity War has the most you could probably do with. Yeah,
and again, it feels like they're trying to introduce the Ultimate Alliance series to younger audiences, because it's been a while since an Ultimate Alliance game came out, and the last one was Civil War, basically, Ultimate Alliance 2, which was, it was kind of like, it's more Civil War-y than actual MCU Civil War, because like, even the trailer, I love the scene of like, Iron Man and Cap like having the peace treaty where they shake hands, and then Cap looks at his wrist and there's like an electrocution thing. Then every MCU character just fights each other.
Yeah, just like comes out.
Heroes, villains, everyone just fighting. It's awesome looking.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, I like the Ultimate Alliance franchise, so I'm hopeful that this new iteration won't disappoint. Who knows though, but I hope it will be good.
Yeah.
So the final game on my list which was supposed to come out this year, but it didn't, would be Days Gone.
Oh, okay. That's not the one that I had.
Yeah, it would be Days Gone. because I don't know. Ever since I heard about it, it just has me super hyped about it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. What I thought you were leaning towards is another game that was supposed to come out this year, but got pushed back, and it's the one that I totally forgot about until just randomly it popped into my mind again. Last of Us Chapter 2.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but we'll see if it actually comes out.
Yeah, well, it got pushed back from like October to now it's on the website I'm looking at here, July 2019.
We'll see if it sticks. It's
So,
not official.
but with that said, the amount of time they're putting into it, I'm hopeful, because they know the expectations. They know very clearly, and that's why I think they pushed it back, that they have to nail it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that mentality, I'm hopeful that they will.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I can tell they're being ballsy about it, which I think is a good thing. It just might not make my heart so happy. Is that they're like, everything that you know about the first game, we're gonna challenge that belief.
Yeah.
Because like from the trailers, it's like, oh, they're going in a whole new direction.
From my feeling, I feel like the story mode is going to be shorter than most people want it to be. But I think it's going to be... I think they're going to kill it with the story mode. So
Yeah,
it's not
and I'd be
gonna-
okay with that. I'd rather have them just absolutely blow away with an amazing story. Because that's what I love about the first one. The gameplay, yeah, that's cool. The graphics are great, but the story is just so... You invest in the characters. To where if they make a bad decision, you it's like a soap opera where you're like, I can't believe he did that.
You're like, I can't believe I backed this person up.
But when they do something good, like the heartwarming, it's like you feel invested in the characters. So
Yeah.
I hope they focus on story and just knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I was expecting to see Mortal Kombat on your list, to be honest.
I mean, I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat guy. I much prefer Injustice, the new one. It looks fine. I mean, the trailer was interesting. It seems like a game that the people who... I don't know how many people are really into the Mortal Kombat story. Those are the people who are like, what?
Yeah.
I saw the trailer and I was like...
Fight.
Yeah, the trailer is Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So...
Let's see. Also, I just remembered one game to talk about, actually. Because... Most of the games I am anticipating for, like, they never have, like, an actual official release date. So it's like, here's to hoping, I guess. But...
Half-Life 3, yeah, I know. It was 2019.
Yeah,
it's going to be the year.
It's gonna be the year, guys. Come on. No, it's Death Stranding, actually. Because now... I feel like this is the second year I've said this now. Because I think I said this last year.
I think you did say it last year.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I also think I said Last of Us Part 2 last year. So...
Hey, touche, so, you know what? It'll be fine, but like, I have no fucking clue what it's about, but just the amount of people on it, like the creative team behind it, just is really interesting to me. If nothing, Hideo Kojima's games are so fucking confusing, but they're never not like brilliantly made.
That's true.
That's the best thing I can say about it, and it looks like kind of like a really interesting atmospheric sort of open world-esque like science fiction game, and to be honest, like. I'd love more like cosmic horror kind of like games that are like AAA releases, and yeah, and again, it's more just like it looks really interesting. I don't know what it is, but I like it from an aesthetic and like atmospheric standpoint.
That's fair.
Yeah. And
So
got Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
So
next up, that's basically gaming for both this year, kind of a recap, and then us talking about what we're excited for next year. Yeah. Hopefully, the games that come out next year.
Hopefully.
So now we're moving on to movies, though. So these are the movies, the worst movies, the wishlist movies, and the best movies of 2018. And then, of course, anticipated 2019. But
of course.
we're going to kick it off with the most fun list, right? The worst movies of 2018. Now, I'll say pretty much all my movies on this list aren't actually the worst. They're not, like, emoji movie level disgraceful.
Yeah.
They're, pretty much all of them, I think, are movies that I was just disappointed with. They didn't live up to what they could have been.
Yeah, exactly.
Either due to creative team or greed or whatever reasons. It just wasn't what it could have been.
Yeah.
So the first movie I have to talk about with that is Venom, which is a movie that I actually think it was fine. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't awful. It was straight down the road for me.
Fair enough.
With that said, watching the movie, I couldn't help but go, this could be better. especially that first act. Like, even in post, with the footage they have, they could have made that first act so much cleaner.
Yeah.
Like, it just, pacing was all over the place. Dialogue was kind of hit or miss even. I mean, Tom Hardy nailed it with what he had, but...
Yeah, exactly.
You can tell, like, they didn't give him a lot to work with. So, especially for a movie that they're trying to make the foundation of a franchise off of, I don't think it's all there. And I think it's just a combination of things like the PG-13 rating was holding them back. They made it work, but you can tell, I feel like they took the script, replaced all the fucks with shits, because he says shit an insane amount of time in that movie.
Yeah.
They had pretty much some of the same fight scenes, only they'd cut away from head biting, or they'd remove blood.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
and I just think overall, I like the fact they went with a more comedic symbiote, but at the same time, there's just, it's a movie that could have been amazing, and it should have been amazing.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah.
So that, for me, is just very disappointing.
Yeah. For me, honestly, my viewpoint on Venom is, like, I don't think it's good, but, like, it's one of those things where I love it both in an ironic and unironic standpoint, because, like, it's obvious that even for the comedic parts, it's trying to take itself seriously, but, like, when it does, it's so funny to me, like, in some of the ways that I kind of love it, and there are actual legitimate comedic moments that I think are funny, so it's like a complete mixed bag.
My favorite line in the movie was the Venom going, "Jump, Eddie."
Jump
and
out.
then dun 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 dun.
And then it just,
Ding!
and then it just,
Pussy.
yeah, just like complete like building up of like, cool action scene, and then, nope.
Yeah, like those moments with the symbiote, awesome. The symbiote, I love that character.
The best.
It wasn't enough to redeem it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When that's like the thing of the movie, and everything else is just.
Yeah. The best way I like to look at the film is like if it was a superhero parody, essentially.
That's
like,
a good idea.
Cause like there's so many moments, especially with that villain. That villain is so funny to me when he's like, "Do you believe in God, Jimmy?" or whatever that like.
Eddie.
No, not Eddie. That guy that he was talking to in like in the lab that he had like in a little cage.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
then just like, "We are destroying our world," blah, blah, blah. And then he just like puts his hand on the glass out of nowhere, and he's like, "I guess I'll put my hand on the glass." Stuff like that, I can't not hate that movie, unfortunately.
Well, stuff like that is why I'm concerned about Carnage.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I hope they can keep that.
Like, keep in mind, it's not just a movie. They're wanting to make spin-offs of this. They're wanting to make sequels. This is like their MCU, and it's like,
it's, to be honest, for Sony MCU, this sounds about right.
yeah. It's like, because again, Venom is supposed to be also, I think, their Nick Fury character who's gonna be in other characters' movies, like the what's it, the Jared Leto one, Vampire. Starts with like an M, I think.
Wait,
Morpheus.
Jared Leto's gonna be in a Vampire MCU movie?
Not MCU, but Sony. And the best part is we'll probably get some Tom Hardy Venom in there.
Okay.
But that's the cinematic universe they're building.
Okay.
And then whenever they inevitably do the it got pushed back, but the Silver and Black movie with Silver Sable and Black Cat. That's another movie they've talked about Venom being in. The one that it looks like he'll be in soonest, that for some reason they're fast tracking, is a Kraven the Hunter movie.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah,
it's like it was fine for a Venom movie. It worries me for a franchise.
Exactly. That's totally understandable.
Because yes, it has charm now. Will it have charm in Venom 7's appearance?
Probably not. But
so
who knows?
Again, it was a fine movie. It just disappoints me.
Fair enough.
Dylan?
So my least worst movie of the year would be Rampage.
I forgot that was this year. I didn't see it, but oh my god.
So my opinion is that it was an enjoyable experience. Like for like the concepts behind it, it was an enjoyable experience. But like from a movie making standpoint,
you don't think Rock's gonna win any Oscars?
It was awful. Like from
yeah,
cinematically, the fight sequences weren't even really that good. But like conceptually and like you can go into it, it was watchable. You had a good time, but it just wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of like I went into it and I had a bunch of friends who had seen it beforehand, and I was hoping it'd just be like the most batshit insane film possible, and I was honestly kind of underwhelmed, to be perfectly honest.
It was basically just a giant meme.
It might as
okay.
There's a lot of films that basically were giant memes, but I could see that one as definitely being one that definitely is a contender.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
Okay, Luke.
All right, so let me actually get up the list. Sorry, because I forget like the placement of some things sometimes. All right, I'm gonna this kind of like a double one because they're basically in a way the same movie with the same problems. It's sort of a combination of Pacific Rim Uprising and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Okay, I have both on my list, so I'll talk about them with you.
Okay. I want to just combine them because I want to talk about both, and they basically both have the same problems, I'd say, in a lot of ways. Because, like, Pacific Rim Uprising essentially is like everything Guillermo del Toro started with Pacific Rim that made it unique. It was just like, no, we're just going to turn it into generic movie 17.
And I love the first Pacific Rim.
First Pacific Rim was
the second
great.
one. Disappointing's not even a strong enough word. It's disheartening.
It's like it makes you lose hope in progression.
Yes,
It's like an attack. It's like,
That's
you like what we had? Bam!
Like,
oh, you like that shit? Well, guess what? Not having that anymore.
Like, don't
Taking that
like
away.
it. Just everything Idris Elba's character died for. It's like, meh.
Yeah, and fucking like there's like specific things that just seriously bother me with this film. Like for one, so a lot of fights in Pacific Rim, the first one, were all in like a rainy.
They were awesome.
Yeah, they were awesome, but you want to know why that is? Because they knew what kind of lighting they wanted to use for it. They had like mostly like rainy nighttime kind of neon city styles. This one is in bright daylight, so you can see how kind of fake the actual like robot
They
designs.
don't look good.
They look.
They don't.
They look like hot shit, my dude, and it's not fun to look at. And just like, fucking, how do you waste John Boyega in a film? Like, I actually am like trying to figure that out.
Story was abysmal. Who made Charlie Day?
Who made Charlie fucking Day the villain in a movie?
I can't imagine anyone being like, oh, that's a good call. Here's $50 million. That's my contribution.
And literally, like, even the reason why he became a villain is so, like...
It's very loose, especially after the first movie. It's like,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just like, God, the freaking, like, kid character might as well have just been a throw-in for the sake of we kind of need one, because, I mean, there was one, the first one, I guess. And, I mean, hey, kids and robots is a theme, but, you know, it's just... Iron Giant, Evangelion, all that's like, literally every single robot series has a kid in it who pilots the robot or is, like, with the robot in some way.
And for full disclosure, Pacific Rim Uprising is my number 1 worst.
Ah, okay.
And then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is actually my number 4, next on the list. So.
Alright, so I'll quickly talk about Fallen Kingdom then. Fallen Kingdom was just like, I kind of liked it in a, like, does not make any fucking sense. And some of the stuff behind, I'm sorry, Marco, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. But, like, just some of the story progressions and just the, like, fucking character progressions are just so funny to me. My favorite part is the fact that what's his name? Chris Pratt gets tranquilized with like a horse tranquilizer, and then like 5 minutes, like, no, I can do it. I'm
running away from lava scene.
Yeah,
it made no sense. It was hilarious, and it made me smile.
It
was the most stupid thing though.
Yeah, it was, and it's just like. It's kind of one of those things, like, it's hot garbage, but I kind of loved it for, like, just so bad it's good moments like that, and just, God, like, the VFX are sort of, okay, I guess, at times, and then, it's just, like, it's one of those things, like, they had a fine director behind it, but, like, their screenwriter was on another plane of existence.
See, my problems with it come from, and before I actually say this, I want to acknowledge, I give them credit for the new direction. The horror movie thing. With that said, it's not Jurassic Park anymore. It's not. This was not a Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah. Honestly, like, the last third basically just turned into, like, an alien film.
It was a horror movie.
Yeah.
Basically. With instead of, like, monster, slasher, dinosaur.
Yeah, dinosaur.
which I both give them credit for, but this wasn't the movie for it.
Also, one thing I find really funny is the fact that, like, they have those horror movie aspects, like, even from some of the first beginning moments. Yeah, that. But they still try to, like, sneak in, like, all the sentimental moments with the dinosaurs. Like,
Yeah.
like when it got to the part where, like, I guess this is sort of a spoiler, I guess. Not.
It's been out long enough.
It was the scene where, like, the island's blowing up, and then you see, like, the dinosaurs, and, like, one of them is like, no, come back, and, like, everyone's sad, and I'm just like, you know, like, a lot of these people just, like, killed everyone, like, not too long ago, right, guys? I don't know why you're trying to be sad right now.
I mean, yeah, and I think the biggest thing is it took away everything that made Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
This was dinosaur movie. It wasn't Jurassic Park.
It was just might as well just be discount dinosaur film.
Yeah. I would have gave it more credit if it wasn't a Jurassic Park movie and they just took the screenplay, insert to another movie.
Yeah, like it was
not part of that franchise.
Something unique of itself rather than just like it's the most recognizable, so we'll put into that.
Yeah, and just everything, like the message of the film, like it's not what Ian Malcolm has been preaching the whole time. No. It's like, you know what, we've had this message for the past 4 movies. Let's give it this message, the opposite one.
Yeah, like just like the characters, like
the hybrid thing, the clone was weird.
The fucking we cloned this person's daughter with dinosaur DNA.
And even the whole, oh yes, I worked with this character who's been a part of the franchise. I was there since the beginning.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
no, you weren't. What?
The fuck you
this
talking about?
This is the first time we've seen you. So it's like, it really was.
Yeah, it was not a fun time.
I thought it had redeeming moments.
It had its fine moments.
It's not like totally just horrible, but the moments that weren't great really rise to the surface.
Yeah, cream of the crop.
Yeah. So that was Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom and Pacific Rim Uprising. So,
my next movie is Tomb Raider.
Oh, I also forgot that.
I'm pretty sure that did come out this year, right?
It was.
So, again, it's one of those... I kind of had the same feelings with Rampage, where for a video game movie, I'll give it a lot of credit, because video game movies are fairly hard to pull off. I will give them a lot of credit there. So, from the aspect of a video game movie and it feeling like a video game, it did it pretty well. But from cinematically, it was... Some of the scenes, it just felt kind of dry.
I can understand that. Yeah.
It was like it's a one-time watch thing, you know? It's like a one-time watch thing. If it's on TV and you have nothing better to do with your life, like if you don't even have any homework
or
to
you're
do,
folding laundry.
Yeah, like maybe if like you got to be doing something else.
It's not something that requires your full attention.
Yeah, it's not something that I feel like I needed to go to the theater for, but I did anyway. But
yeah, that's very fair.
That's understandable. Alright, let me get my list back up. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting what I have. Alright, so, okay. Next up I have, Bird Box, which was more recent, actually. Wait, it was on your list?
Yeah, that's my number 1, too.
Oh.
Man, if Willie was here, he'd probably say Bird Box as well. Because
did he see
most of the times I've seen him, he's ranted to me, and then just even on his social media, I was like, oh, he's talking about Bird Box again. Okay.
It's just a quiet place. It's just a quiet place for blind people now. But, like, it's not even, like, at least A Quiet Place had some unique aspects, but this, from, like, a production, acting, writing standpoint, it just honestly felt like a TV movie, actually. This is the best way I could describe it. And, like, it was a Netflix film with $20 million back behind it. It looked like freaking, like, it was made on 5. And just nothing like about it caused me any like interest within it. Like there's no point where it's like, oh, I'm feeling stressed with like the situation, or any moment was really scary. There were some interesting, clever moments with how they kind of went around the idea of like, oh, you can't see it, but like they don't do anything cinematically to make you feel that way. It's just filmed like just straightforward, blandly. Like one thing was, there's a sequence where like they're driving to go to a supermarket, so they have the entire car covered, but they still do like they show shots outside of the cars. Like, why do that?
It
Just-
removes the tension.
Yeah, I don't feel anything. It's like, okay, now I can see what's going on outside. It doesn't look like there's anything. Keep it as like from the perspective as much as possible. Otherwise, you're just gonna make it.
That sounds like a movie that would be awesome. Like in
Exactly.
paper, like you could do so. I'm thinking about it now. Like the focuses don't show.
Yeah, don't show.
There's a
the
lot
shit.
of interesting cinematic stuff you could do with it.
Yeah, like the best example I could think of is there's a film called I think it's just called Buried, which is about a guy who's trapped buried underground, but it keeps him inside the kind of tomb he's in. Never shows like anything outside. It's just everything from his perspective, and it's terrifying because they still have great camera angles and lighting that they use with that, and you can still do that. Like maybe have like really like tight close-ups on the characters when they have like their blindfolds on, so they don't, it doesn't show what they're seeing. But they never do that. It's just filmed regularly, and like the characters have like the worst like dialogue at points. Oh my god, just so many points. Just like, yeah, that's totally what they would say. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but that's because I've literally had no interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ironically, Bird Box made my list at number 1, and I haven't even watched it.
Oh.
Okay.
That is very ironic.
So ironically, it's the worst movie of the year because of what it's turned into, and from the reaction that I've seen on the internet, and the fact that it's basically turned into a giant meme, that alone turns me away from the movie itself.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean by the memes, like the blindfolded shot that he uses.
Like, it's just frustrating that, like, because the concept behind it is literally a Quiet Place ripoff.
Yeah, and like...
It's like, a Quiet Place? Well, we can't do that. We need to do something different. Well, let's think about our senses. Which one can we take away?
See, we could cut off the character's arms, but CGI would be expensive.
Cut off the nose.
We can't cut off their tongue. Can't cut off their taste buds. Screw it, we gotta cover up the eyes.
Yeah.
I just love a don't smell movie.
Don't smell.
It smells so bad it kills you, so everyone has like cooking stuff. Like, we can't eat it, we just have to have like candles and good smelling food.
You know what I just realized? So we have horror films that are about you can't breathe, can't hear, can't speak, and now you can't see. So, like, literally, what is next? We might actually get a don't smell movie.
And the meme I saw was the next one is Jeffree Star movie and it's can't relate.
But it's just essentially frustrating, and like, yeah, like you, I have zero interest watching it.
Like, the thing is, I have, like, a lot of people that I know that say, like, oh, it's one of the most interesting horror films I've seen this year, and like...
I've had several people tell me it was one of the best movies they've seen all year, and I'm thinking to myself, clearly you are not seeing enough movies, I'm sorry.
I had a group of friends that said, like, this would be the best movie of the year for 2 movies a year people.
That's pretty, yeah, maybe. Like, okay, this might be the best movie of the year for people who only see movies on Netflix.
Yeah.
That's about it. Even Netflix has
movies.
better films than that.
So many better movies. It's...
Yeah, that's my standpoint on it. That's why I made my list, even though I haven't seen it.
Fair enough.
I think I broke the rules on that one a little bit, but it's okay.
Hey,
I like the joke you attached to it, though.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. Hey, I mean, I didn't play most of the games I talked about, so you're good on that. Anyways.
Okay, so my next
I
lost track of the order.
Yeah.
Because you guys both had
well,
it,
no,
and my brain's like,
he
wait.
said it, but then I talked about it too.
Okay, cool, so it is mine. So the next movie I have to talk about, is another kind of just disappointing. It's Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. And the first problem I have with it, for a movie called The Crimes of Grindelwald, he doesn't really commit many crimes. It's like the gentle rallies of Grindelwald is the more appropriate name.
Actually, that is a better name.
Because the beginning of the movie, he breaks out of prison. It's an awesome, but you can't see anything sequence.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie is him like time for politics. You should vote for me. You should side with me. It's like, it's literally, he's a politician.
Yeah, he's like, but like he's the fucking scummiest looking guy, and everyone's still like, yeah.
If he looked like Jude Law,
yeah,
there'd be no reason to see him as a villain.
Exactly. Yeah, like that's. I don't understand why people can't just like make villains that don't look like the obvious. Like you look like a person that never exists, so you're obviously a villain.
Yeah, and like the other problem I have with it, the whole movie, I was like, all right, we're getting into it, right? We're getting into it. The whole movie's set up for the next one, basically.
Yeah, I heard there's basically not even really a protagonist in the film. Like, there's sort of is.
No, because like there was charm, I feel, to the first Fantastic Beasts movie, because it's like, whoa, all these creatures. Newt Scamander is like, oh, he's a character we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
This movie takes all those interesting things away, and it's like, whoop.
And just kind of throws them out.
Because the beasts are like, oh shit, we have to have this. Is this in the title? Crap.
Whoops.
Okay, just put one in the background here. Have one run away in this scene. Fantastic Beasts. It's like,
yeah.
That was that. And then even Newt, he wasn't in the movie as much as the main character should be. And even with that, it's like his character didn't do anything like noticeable. Like anything, it's like this movie needed to happen because I need to see here to here. No, spoiler alert, the character change at the beginning of the movie, he's like, I don't care about this war. At the end of the movie, he's like, alright, I'll side with you guys. That's his whole character arc.
Yeah.
It's him going from, I don't give a fuck, to, I give kind of a fuck.
I give half of a fuck.
Like, that was his entire character arc. I think the best parts, Jude Law, whenever he's on screen, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Even Grindelwald, he didn't do much, but I was like, that's kind of interesting. That was really it for me.
Yeah.
Was those two characters. If it were just those two characters, get rid of the Fantastic Beasts stuff, and you give them more to do,
then
I would have been happy.
Yeah, it could have been like something that would have actually felt like it was worth the
I could have read a Spark Notes of this movie and been like, alright, I got it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it. From what I've been hearing, it basically might as well just be a Spark Notes. So not much of anything happens, and it kind of feels a bit over bloated.
Yeah, especially because I think I heard they're looking at doing 5 Fantastic Beast movies. This one's not needed. You could have cut it down to probably 2 and just skipped this.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
And also this whole movie is like, oh man, Grindelwald, he's getting powerful. Dumbledore, maybe he could stop him. Maybe he could stop him. And then like the final scene is the next movie, Dumbledore's gonna be like, maybe next time. And then just cut to credits.
It's like, no, like, I like to think he wakes up from bed, he's like, wait, wasn't I supposed to stop Grindelwald?
There was actually a story reason for why he couldn't go against Grindelwald. The end of the movie is like, yeah, but that's only so-so, so we'll work on fixing that next movie.
It kind of feels like...
Okay, spoiler alerts for if you've not seen The Crimes of Grindelwald. Let me say what it is. So when they were... It never says they were lovers or anything. It's like lightly implied, though.
Yeah,
so saying
like
whenever they were close, whether it was friendship or they were together,
yeah,
they made a pact that they would never fight each other. And it was like, the pact's a physical object, because magic.
Yeah, like...
And at the end of the movie, Newt's like, I got the pact, let's destroy it next movie. So the movie after that, you can go after him.
Oh. Okay, so they found it, and they literally just stopped it there before
that's the end of the movie. So the next movie is going to be like the destroying Horcruxes of this movie franchise. So the following one they can fight.
Fantastic Beasts 3, the continuing of the Crimes of Grindelwald.
No, seriously, they're the crime in this one.
I promise you, maybe.
Like, it's a title to get people in the theaters. That's all it was. If they were like, there was a whiteboard somewhere where they had like a bunch of titles, and they're like, let's see, the introduction of Dumbledore. No, people won't see that. Like, let's see, Fantastic Beasts, the Walking Adventure. No, people won't see that. It's like
the mild misdemeanors of Grindelwald.
Yeah, it's like then they're like,
all right,
let's go crazy with it, okay? What's some audience grab like the?
Let's tell a little white lie.
Yeah, like they got the guy from the Gremlins 2 video. Like okay, y'all, we need some better titles up in this bitch, okay?
God damn it.
Let's see here.
Basically.
Who's in the movie? I mean, there's Dumbledore. Boring. Who's in the movie? Grindelwald. I like that name. Okay,
cool
what does he do? He talks to people. Wrong. He doesn't talk. He commits crimes. Crimes of Grindelwald. I'm out, baby. And then, like, that's the scene.
I mean, like, they got a good title person, but it doesn't fit the movie at all.
It doesn't.
I want to add one more movie
Go
that
for
I
it.
just thought of. So I don't know where it ranks because that's kind of hard, but I'd have to say A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah, that was a bit...
It was messy.
Yeah.
It was messy, and I don't even know... It really wasn't watchable to me. It was one of those movies where I kind of wanted to fall asleep. It wasn't that exciting, and nothing really kept my attention.
Yeah, nothing from the trailers made me go, oh, I want to see that movie. I think the only reaction I had was, oh, Chris Pine's doing that now. Cool. I forgot about him. Glad to see him back in the movies.
Basically, I was like, well, I have my movie pass, and I haven't seen a movie in a little bit.
So check it
Okay,
out.
let's go.
Yeah.
And I went and saw it, and that was it.
I
I wouldn't pay to see that movie.
Fair enough.
That's the only reason I saw it, is because it was free, basically.
Yeah.
I saw it too, and I was like super disappointed by that too, because it actually has a good director behind it too. But then again, it was like her first time in a big production, so I wasn't sure if it was like not really used to, you know, like the scale of a production, or if Disney was like, no creativity, please.
Well, yeah, I could see Disney being like, market to everyone.
Yeah,
Just, like,
exactly.
very,
The concept was sloppy. Like, there's some movies where, like, wow, that has a really cool concept, but it wasn't acted upon well. It's like, this movie, it felt like there wasn't a concept to act upon.
Fair enough,
Which
yeah.
I think is where that movie's lacking. If there's a concept, that's where you get a little bit more interest, and then there's something to act on. But there's nothing to actually land on. It's just, like, you're trying to land on the moon, but the moon doesn't exist. So you're just kind of landing in...
I bet there's a lot of people who are like, yes, he understands our problem.
So
The moon doesn't exist. People are just trying to land on it. It's a scam.
I heard like the book does a better job at the
That's what I've heard
concept,
as well.
but yeah, like it was quite messy, and
it's like one of those things where you have to like visualize it, but when you try and visualize it and turn it into a visual production,
it doesn't
work.
Yeah, it's more like better in the abstract rather than like
a literal sense.
Yeah, and especially if it was a Disney movie, it probably would not do well.
Yeah. Luke, have anything?
Oh yes. To talk about Wrinkle in
Anything,
Time.
or anything in terms of worst movies?
Yes, I've got it like packed. I'm just trying to like get it back up again. Let me see. Okay, there it is. This was basically a direct to DVD film, but I want to talk about it because it's so fucking weird to me, and like and what it is, it's like a very dark crime thriller, like David Fincher-esque sort of like kind of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo thing, starring Jim Carrey. It was called Dark Crimes, and it's like one of those kinds of films where it's like it's so thoroughly joyless, and even joyless films are at least interesting sometimes, like depending on what it is. But this was like, I had no idea what was going on. Like, it's a perfect example for people who want to get into like editing to know what's an example of bad editing, because like there's no coherence here whatsoever. It's just like things happen. Some of them are kind of disturbing, and some of them actually kind of connect to a, you know, sort of narrative, but then they don't. And it was essentially just 2 hours of like the grayest bullshit you could ever see, and I hated it like for every minute. And it's only my third worst film.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
I feel like he'd be the person you cast. Like, it's a joyless film, but at least maybe he could bring a little energy.
Yeah. Like at least some semblance of. Yeah, like he basically played the opposite of the kind of actor he is
Normally.
usually. Yeah, because he has like a Polish accent in the film, but he's like always like this all the time talking. I'm serious now, guys. I'm serious.
Can you imagine him in the mask makeup just doing that?
Smoking. Always smoking.
I don't know. I'd pay to see that.
That would be funny because it's like a subversion of expectations. This is just, hey, it's a crime thriller. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then the last movie I have to talk about, which is actually my number 2, but is a movie that after watching it, I was like, it was, and I tried to
Like
find ways to like, but
yeah.
with time in between it, I can honestly say, like, it was not good.
Yeah.
Was Cloverfield Paradox.
I can definitely see that.
The Cloverfield movies. I love the Cloverfield movies. And, you know, there are some elements of it, but the overall lore and narrative behind it is just so intriguing to me, especially the marketing and all this. And this movie had amazing marketing of the Super Bowl ad of, like,
it's
the film you don't know about. Yeah, it's a thing, and it comes out tonight. Like,
yeah,
in like 4 hours. That was awesome.
Yeah, like, and I love that kind of thing, because it was, like, no one had seen it beforehand, besides, you know, like, people who made the film, of course. So it was, like, literally everyone can make the reaction for themselves. They could choose, like, they didn't have any preconceived notions about it, besides, you know, it was a Cloverfield film.
Which is awesome. The only thing with that is, I kind of get it now.
Yeah.
It makes more sense why they did it that way, because could you imagine if people had to drive to the movie theater, pay $10, watch this movie, and then leave.
And then have to, like, talk about it, be like, you know what, maybe this ain't so great, guys.
Yeah, like, this was how it needed to be delivered, because, again, the Cloverfield movies, like, they have, like, a really unique, deeper narrative that all of them try and tell. This one, they pretended to have a deeper narrative.
It just sort of didn't connect.
It was setup, roll credits. Thank you for watching.
Sorry.
And again, the sci-fi stuff they did, it's like, it's like, you know, different dimensions and realities. They didn't put any rules on or have any closure to.
Yeah.
It was like, this is a thing, and now we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for watching.
Yeah. I didn't have all that much personal involvement with the Cloverfield films. Like, I know about, like, all these sort of connecting aspects about them, but I was more just like, hey, it's fun sci-fi stuff. And I think it kind of helps that it was on Netflix, that I more or less kind of watch it as, like, a guilty pleasure, because I had fun watching it, but it isn't good. It isn't good at all.
And again, Clovey's at the end for the sake of Clovey showing up.
There's
no rhyme or reason. I've analyzed it to try and figure out what does that mean, having Clovey. It doesn't mean anything.
It's just
like,
it's just a money shot.
It is, and everything in that movie is like, sure, okay, yeah, put that in there. There's not any reason, which is what made the other Cloverfield, like, the setups and the payoffs, and 10 Cloverfield Lane, awesome. And like that, I've watched that movie multiple times since seeing it in theaters, and I still go like, yeah, I enjoyed that. This movie is just like, we kind of had a screenwriter.
What screenwriting? What structure?
It had no structure.
That's
another thing. Having time pass, that I'll look at it and be like, things just happen.
Yeah.
It's been like, people die, and it's like, oh, you didn't know that was a thing, and we're not gonna explain it. So it's like.
They basically just kind of. Most of the characters aren't even all that well developed, honestly. They're fun.
Not.
They're fun, but they're not, like, interesting enough to care about, like, when they actually do have, like.
And again, I've tried looking into the whys behind stuff. I still don't get why the arm is a character. Can we address that? A guy's arm gets cut off, and now both he and the arm are two separate characters.
Yeah.
They don't explain it, and that's a reason why that put the movie on this list. It does so many things like that, where it's like, shocked you, didn't we? It's like, not for any reason, just because they could.
And it's like, I mean, I guess, but I don't understand why. Also, hello, Ewan. How you doing?
From the sounds of it, I haven't watched it, but it sounds like it's like they almost knew that if they released it in theaters, it was gonna bust.
Yes.
So they had to. But like when you're making a film, that shouldn't be the mindset you have.
Mm-hmm.
Tell that to the people who made Holmes and Watson. Still haven't watched that. That could have possibly been on my list if I had seen it, but I decided I'm a better person than that.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a disappointment for sure, but it's a disheartening one, because now Jeremy Jahns, he said something about it that I agree with entirely. It kind of degraded what made Cloverfield special. Yeah. Now, whenever a Cloverfield movie comes out, I don't have that same Christmas morning feeling that I've had in the past.
Yeah,
now it'll just be like, who knows? It kind of took away that specialness.
Yeah, because it just felt like it was sort of a half-baked concept, and it didn't put in the time and effort that it should have been.
Which originally, it was J.J. Abrams saving films is the franchise, basically. Just
Yeah.
like, oh, this movie has got a great script, there's a lot of passion into it, but no one's gonna see it because we don't have any distributors or anything. And J.J. steps in and he's like, I'll
Not
make it a
fine,
Cloverfield movie.
Yeah, like, and give it, like, a wide release.
Yeah, and there's, like, some kind of nice nuance to it, and then he picks the ones that could build to a narrative, like, a greater thing of, like, this idea, and now this movie really showed there is no narrative. There is no greater narrative to string.
I like to think of it now as just kind of like the sci-fi equivalent of like Twilight Zone or something like that, where it's like movies that are like a bunch of cool little vignette story films that, I mean, they did connect at some point, but now not really anymore. So we're just gonna say like,
Yeah, and like even the loose connections I liked.
yeah,
That was fun. Now this literally he's like, it's like sure, fun that, slap the name on that one.
yeah. JJ's becoming a horror.
It lost the charm that it had. So
Yeah.
that's why that's there. But
Should we
Those
move
are-
on to some more?
do you have more?
I have actually just like 2 more left.
Yeah, because
though.
I'm
I'll
done
try
with
to-
my list.
I'll
now.
try to quickly talk about them. First one, I thought it was going to be my number 1, but somehow it didn't. Slenderman. Me and Marco went all the way to just to see it for free because, you know, we were like, it's going to be a meme movie. And it technically was, but at the same time, it was also the most boring, just lifeless, soul-sucking film I've ever seen in my life. Well, of one in films in my life, not of my entire life. But, like, it's like the bare minimum of what they could have done with this concept. And I think the reason why I hate it more than, like, some other films that are more or less just kind of soulless and generic is just, like, there was a thing with the film, but, like, when it was in production, that apparently there was an actual real-life Slenderman incident that the film, like, unintentionally parallels in a lot of ways. And the people who are alive after the incident, it's like, hey, could you not do that, please? Like,
unintentional is like an oops. Like,
yeah, like, they literally, like...
didn't go through the legal clearance. Didn't be like, okay, well, how can we do this in a respectful way? It's like, oh, that does line up, huh?
Yeah, they didn't even think about it. But yeah, like, the people from the event were like, hey, could you not do this? And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we'll change it up. Literally, the only thing they changed is that they didn't make it an R-rated film. They just kept everything else in. They did not even understand what the fuck they were saying by, like, you know, this happened, right? Could you not do this? So there is a literal, like, the entire plot point is exactly like the actual events that happened. And they're just like, hey, fuck you. No. That's actually kind of terrible.
If they went about it the right way, that could be nice and kind of cool. Like, oh, based off real. It's such a douche move, I imagine. Just based on real events, and then a middle finger as the family watches the screen.
God, yeah, exactly. Like, they don't try to do it like in sort of like, you know, respectful, like, to the dead kind of thing. They just made it like a fake film, and then the ending is just like
the family watching it in the movie theater.
Okay, you know what? That would actually be more respectful than what they did next. The ending is literally just a montage of, like, social media posts like, remember, what you do on the internet affects people. Deep. And then movie ends.
That's also so hypocritical.
Exactly.
For that movie.
It is so fucking, like, unbelievably hypocritical. It's, like, mind-expandingly asinine. But somehow, it is not the worst film I've seen this year.
What is?
It is a film called Life Itself. It's essentially, like, okay, so, like, you probably don't even know what it is.
I do not.
It literally had a wide release and was, like, in theaters for, like, 2 weeks because nobody saw it. But it's, like, a kind of, like, you know, drama film about, like, how life interconnects within, you know, different people in different time periods. But it is so fucking terribly written. Like, the first 10 minutes are... Okay, so, like, the beginning of the film starts off with the character who has gone on, like, in a breakup, and because of his, like, completely distraught by it. The first 10 minutes are part of a fake screenplay that he's writing, where Samuel Jackson is an inconsistent narrator. So 10 minutes in, it's just Samuel Jackson talking about random shit. Some weird events happen with the main character, and then it actually cuts to what the actual movie is. So 10 minutes in, you're like, I have no clue what I am watching. And then the rest of it is Oscar Isaac for, like, 10 minutes in a sequence, like, yelling in a cafe about Bob Dylan. And I'm just like, okay, so what the fuck does any of this have to do with the story? What is the story? And as it's continuing on, I'm like, there isn't any. It's just life interconnects and things happen. And so it's literally just a nothing film. 40 minutes of it are like Oscar Isaac talking to a therapist. The next 20 minutes are about like the person that he dated and like what happens in her life, which is a bunch of nothing. Then it for some reason cuts to like a Spanish family like 40 miles or like 100 miles away and talking about them, and it's literally like a bunch of nothing. Like there's nothing in the film. It's a bunch of nothing. And the only
You think Isaac what's his last name?
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac, that's right. Oscar Isaac, you knew they were filming. It's like his normal day.
I'd like to think his scenes are like the only saving grace. The rest of the film is just like a boring, like, I have no fucking clue what I'm watching. But his is the same, except it's really funny because like they try to make his characters like he's basically schizophrenic, but it's so badly done. Like there's a point at which there's like a flashback to like when he was in college, and literally like the current time version of him shows up to talk to himself during that time period, and it's just like...
Sounds like you made a mistake for even staying for the whole film. So.
I was staying for the whole film because I just was like, I feel like maybe this is going somewhere.
I feel like at some point
Maybe
you have to commit. Like, it's like,
yeah,
I've made it, I sat through an hour, I should sit through the rest of the hour just so I have more stuff to bitch about. Cause like...
Exactly, like, my main reason was like, if nothing else, maybe this is going somewhere. Maybe the ending will have some sort of, like, thing they'll be like, alright, it was terrible, but at least it knew where it was trying to go. This just dead-ended. It just dead-ended completely. And it's just, like, the most basic, like, there's some films that have done this kind of message, like, really well. Like, a good example, I'd say, is, like, Cloud Atlas, where it's like, oh, the interconnectedness of life and all that. This is just, like... This is like the Lifetime version of trying to make Cloud Atlas. It is a cold fart of a movie.
Alrighty, well, on the cold fart of a movie note, we move on to Wishlist Movies of 2018. Yeah. So these are the movies that we wish we had gotten to see, but for whatever reason, we didn't. So, I know I have a good amount, but how did you guys fare? Because you guys go and see a lot of movies.
I have two.
I have a couple, but some of them are sort of like kind of obscure shit, so it's sort of harder to say, honestly.
Okay. So then we'll go around, but then as soon as you guys are up, I'll just talk. So, number 5 on my list is First Man, because I love Damien Chazelle. I haven't heard amazing things about this movie, but for me, he's just on such a good track record that out of respect, I really want to see this movie and see what he does with it. Mm-hmm. I just didn't get around to see it in theaters, so at some point I will watch it. But yeah, I mean, it's Damien Chazelle, Ryan Gosling. It is a actual event in history. I'm curious to see, because that's way outside of what he's done before.
Yeah, like...
So I'm curious to see his take on it.
Yeah, most of his stuff is sort of like musical based, whereas this is like...
Whiplash was a great musical, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, in literally about music.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
But I mean, like, it kind of, like, more... Whiplash was, like, instrumental musical.
Yes.
Whereas La La Land was, like, straight-up musical. Mm. But yeah. My thoughts on First Man were kind of like, I was sort of... It's good, but I'm sort of on it at first, but, like, with over time, I kind of grew on it with, like, like, some of the technical stuff behind it is, like, really creative and, like, interesting. And
which that's what Damien Chazelle, I think, excelled at. Like, technical and creative, marrying the two.
Yeah, there's like a sequence that I think is really great where he uses like a specific kind of camera for like most of it, but then at one specific point changes the camera to something like of a different quality that like really gives the moment like a special like you know like awe to it. But yeah, like First Man is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Dylan, what do you have on your wish list?
One of the two would be Widows. I don't know, the trailer caught my attention and I meant to get around to see it, but I just never went to see it.
Fair enough. Luke?
That was... Oh, I'm next. Alright, so... let me see what I got. This one was... It's not really, like, even, like, a high, like, I need to see it or anything, but it's just sort of interesting. I didn't see Red Sparrow, but it looked interesting.
Oh, it was really good.
Ah.
Sorry.
I just I think it looks interesting. I kind of like the sort of stylistic kind of feel it goes for it, and yeah, it just looks interesting. I don't really have much else to say about it.
Definitely get around to it whenever you have the chance.
Will do.
No, I haven't seen it either. But the next one on my list is Annihilation.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, that was the one that the trailer. I was like,
about that.
okay, well, that's the thing. But then after I started hearing reviews, I was like, oh shit, okay, well I'll add it to my list. And then it kind of just continuously got bumped down by other stuff, and then here I am, still haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I have a Blu-ray if you want to see it.
That's good to know. I'll keep that in mind. But Annihilation is a movie that I want to watch at some point.
Yeah, I forgot about that too. So I'll talk. I'll throw that in there. But then my next movie, or the last movie, is If Beale Street Could Talk.
Yeah,
I know that has a few J4U nominations.
Yeah, just a few. Just a few.
Again, it's just one of those things that I didn't end up getting around to see, and I need to see it.
Yeah. Well, you have a reason for it because it never got released anywhere until today. But yeah, definitely would recommend seeing that.
I'll see it. Yeah.
All right, so let me see what I've got next. Okay, so I talked about Red Sparrow. I do have one that I know is like my top like wish list film. So I'm just kind of like some of these are just sort of out of order. Where was it? Freaking. Oh yeah, it was a documentary actually called Free Solo. I forget what specific mountain climbing expedition it was, but it's essentially it was a documentary about mountain climbers that was filmed like basically with them as they were climbing the mountain. Like they would go up with them like in certain ledges, and like the way they filmed it is like very kind of from their perspective almost.
How's Chewbacca in that?
Well, it's Free Solo, so he's not there, unfortunately. But it just like...
Well, I thought he was going to free Han. Isn't that the point of the movie? Climb the mountain to free him?
Well, shit, maybe you're right. Damn. But yeah, like, it just looks really, really interesting from, like, especially, like, it isn't just, like, you know, hour and a half of mountain climbing. It's, like, the people who, like, prepare for this stuff, sort of the pressures that they feel before getting onto it. It just looks super interesting, and it just, like, I like those so intense, you're like, I'm gonna grab on my seat really hard because I don't like this, but it's still out even. I should just check it out at some point. I don't know why I'm like saying like, oh, forgot to see it. No, it's still playing. But yeah, want to see that. Definitely.
You forgot to see it as of this being recorded.
As of this being recorded, yes.
So there you go. So the next one I have on my list is A Star Is Born.
Ooh, yes.
Because, I mean, the trailers, I was like, wow, I am intrigued. Like, Lady Gaga, like,
yeah,
looks good in terms of acting chops, and the singing, of course, is Lady Gaga, but acting chops are like, oh,
yeah,
wow, she can do that. And then Bradley Cooper, acting and directing really intrigues me.
And singing, too.
And singing, yes. I knew he could do one of those things, but all three, I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, dang, he got the chops, the good stuff.
So that's a movie on my list to see when I get around to it.
Of course, yeah.
Alright, Dylan, you good?
You're done?
Yeah,
Want to talk about Annihilation a little, or?
I mean, I was the same boat as you. The trailer didn't really intrigue me too much. I was kind of like, eh. But, I mean, I've heard good things about it, so.
Yeah. Alright, well, Luke.
Alright, so, I mean, I have basically enough filled. Okay, so I talked about... It was Red Sparrow, Free Solo. What was the other one? Fuck, where is it?
You could just, if you want, you could just jump to your number one if you want.
I do have.
And hello, Tatu. Welcome to the stream.
Oh, I do have one, like sort of just like random one. More just it just looked kind of fun. There's a movie called Kin, which was like essentially the plot was, from what I can remember, is like this kid in like this little neighborhood finds this like this sort of alien machine kind of thing, and starts being like, I'm gonna find out more about this machine through time and whatever, and people start finding out about it, like, you know, government and stuff and all that kind of thing, and it gets into like a crazy adventure, sort of like E.T. except it's a alien gun, but I don't know, it looks fun. It's probably really generic.
That's
but
fair.
It looks fun.
I saw the trailers and I was like, okay, it's the same.
Yeah.
I thought of another movie actually.
Okay.
That I wanted to see.
Let me go around and then
Okay,
you can hit on the next
fine.
So the next movie I have to talk about is Upgrade.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, that
Upgrade.
was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, 'cause that was one from the trailer that I was like, that looks awesome. That looks really awesome. And then I forgot about it when it was in theaters, and I was like, oh, Upgrade's the thing. When is that coming? Oh, it already came out. Oh, it's not in theaters anymore.
It's because their marketing was really
Huh.
bad.
What's called, in my opinion, they did a lot of things right that Venom did wrong.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it's the good version of Venom that came out
It's
this year.
rated R Venom, basically.
Mhm.
It's funny because they basically have discount Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah, basically.
So, that's the movie that really interests me.
Yeah, I mean, I would see that before some of the other movies that you wanted to see.
Good to know. All right.
The other movie that I want to see that I'll probably get around to eventually is Vice,
Oh yeah, it was.
which I guess I haven't really forgotten to see. I mean, it just as we're recording it, I haven't seen it, but it is still fairly new, so I'll cut myself some slack there. But I don't know. I think it just has an interesting story behind it. So
It's definitely interesting considering it's like one of the first movies to talk about like an era of America that we've actually been alive for.
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about it now is what
Did
I
you
didn't
see
know.
it?
I did see it.
Okay.
Going
So-
into it, one thing that I didn't notice until I looked at the IMDb afterwards, for genre, comedy is one of the genres. So be aware of that. It has some comedic.
So
moments
go
in there.
into the, like be willing to laugh essentially, or not. Or don't laugh.
It's well,
It's they say
it's odd.
okay.
It's-
If you can get on board with like it
The
has
concept
some
of-
serious and some weird things, you'll be fine.
it's essentially like it'll have you make you laugh at some point, but at another point it'll be like make you thoroughly disgusted.
So can I make a comparison here? So would it be kind of like Sorry to Bother You kind of feelings?
Actually, yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yes.
That's a good comparison, kind of.
Yeah.
Like because Sorry to Bother You kind of gave me that feeling where some moments I was like, wow, that's kind of funny, and then other moments I was like,
Oof.
that is mess up.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to think of it.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, because I wasn't expecting that. I was kind of like, yeah, it's a typical, kind of one of those history, Documentary kind of things. and I was like, awesome. I want to
You're like, no,
see
this
this.
throws away
And then
everything.
there are some moments. There is a bedroom scene in particular,
Oh, yeah.
if you remember.
I do.
I was watching it and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? And I was
Yeah,
like,
I need to see this now. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
that was one moment I was sort of like, but there's
I said,
other
editing and narration bothered me.
yeah.
So I feel like you can if you get behind what it is, take it for what it is, you'll enjoy it. The editing I was watching and I was like, is this a Shane Dawson documentary or
I was thinking that in another film. That was like what even are some of these choices like?
and the payoff for the narrator thing, they set it up as like, oh, who am I? Then when it was revealed, I was like, well, that's kind of underwhelming.
Kind yeah,
For me,
it kind of was.
Does
I
it
guess.
feel too long?
I-
Because it's 2 hours
It's
and
his-
15 minutes.
It's his entire life basically. So from like 19 years old to present basically.
For me,
So there's a lot of ground it covers.
yeah. For me, I feel like it is a bit too long in areas, but I feel like it's not as much because like there's so much.
I think it's
stuff.
on the editing.
It's on the editing definitely because
So they could have chopped it up a little bit more and it would have been the
There's
same
a
movie,
scene
or-
near the
Yeah.
end where it flashes back to something it showed like in the beginning, and I was
It's
like,
like you don't...
oh, I forgot that was in the movie. Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
right. That was the thing.
So
that
it,
happened.
it almost could have
Okay.
paid off to not show the scene in the beginning and just shown the flashback at the end and it would have done the same
I'd
thing.
rather they just not show the flashback. But there was at a moment where it's like,
You're like,
I didn't need to see that.
Yeah,
It was literally,
okay.
I think it was him sitting in his office, and I was like, oh yeah, this was his office earlier in the movie. I was like, holy shit, I forgot about that.
I'd like the
Okay.
if nothing else, I'd say it's worth seeing it just for that final scene though. That final scene was like, oh, okay, oh,
I'll see it.
oh.
Yeah,
It's still
I
in
think,
theaters, so...
in my opinion, with those actors, it could have been a much better version of that same story.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Like, Amy Adams, there are some moments where I was like, well, that was a little bit weird delivery, but other moments where she killed it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, consistent, even the weird moments, I bought Christian Bale.
yeah,
Like, there's some bizarre moments that he has, but there is a lot where I'm like, Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it was a mixed bag in my opinion.
Definitely. I can see that. Alright.
Alright, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so
Now that we got off track for 10 minutes.
it's all good. My wishlist film of the year is a film I actually could have seen. It was just only playing at Phoenix at one point. It was the newest feature film from directional auteur Neil Breen, Twisted Pair. Twisted Pair came out last year, and I'm so disappointed that I did not get to go see a screening of it. Like, an actual screening of it. Do you imagine how amazing that could have been? Like, not just seeing a Neil Breen movie, like, on YouTube's, like by yourself. Watching it live in a theater with people. I am so sad that I never got to do that. Because I could have. I've driven to Phoenix before. Like, I could have done that. And I just never did. I'm so sad. But Twisted Pair is... I don't know how... Like, just from the footage, I feel like it's Neil Breen's next best film. Like, I don't know how it got more...
Quantify best.
On, like, the kind of way I say I enjoy Venom.
Okay.
Where it's like...
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it's you know the theory 2 negatives equal a positive?
Yeah.
I feel like Neil Breen's films are like the actual like real life equivalent of that. Cuz they're so fucking bad in every single conceivable aspect to the point where it's the best. And yeah, it looks like it might be his new magnum opus. Like, it legit has like action sequences in it. Like, actual action sequences, debatably, but yeah, I missed that, and I was so sad I did not get to see it.
All right. Well, the last movie that I have on my wish list is Mission Impossible Fallout.
This is your most.
This is the movie that I was like, man, I wish I could have gone and seen that. It's Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So. Anyway, I feel like I don't have anything to say. It's like people who've seen it are like, yeah, and people who haven't are like, okay. So
It's like, oh, Mission Impossible? Okay.
So anyway, that's my list.
Cool.
So moving on now to the big category right now. That's right. We have the best movies of 2018.
Definitely the hardest list to put together, in my opinion.
For me, the hardest ones I think to place down on mine were like the not top 3, the 4 and 5, because there are a lot of movies like I really enjoyed this movie, but do they make the list?
Well,
yeah.
And for me, like, even the top 3 are kind of difficult because like there's some movies that like are so hard to compare. Like when you're dealing with so many different genres of movies. Like if you only see one genre of movie, it's easy to rank them. But when you're seeing every type of genre of
90 movies.
When you see like every type of genre of movie, it's harder than it should be. So I don't even know if mine is in the correct order, but we'll just go with it.
Hey, I feel good.
So the first one that I'm going to put down is more so just because of the way it made me feel, both while I was watching it and then on the drive home. Won't You Be My Neighbor? It's such a sweet movie. And I feel like it's the movie, like if everyone took a day off to see that movie, Twitter would be amazing that day.
It would be amazing. Let's make that a holiday. Let's make a Won't You Be My Neighbor Day. And everyone can just feel good about themselves.
Just like that's one of the movies that I think one of the 2 movies on this list I loved, and I was just happy the rest of the day.
Yeah,
like exactly. I just had a smile on my face, and also, because I know someone who was related to Fred Rogers. Yeah. So hearing the stories about what Fred Rogers was like in real life, and then going to see the movie, it was a really nice experience. It's like, oh wow, he was right. He's like, who he is on the show is who he is.
Yeah,
and
like him as just a person in general.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my number 5.
All right, so I get to cheat and I get to have a runner-up first.
Okay.
And my runner-up is mid-90s. I don't know. I just had a really enjoyable time watching it, and it was like different from anything else that was released this year, and I think that on its own, and I think it being Jonah Hill's directorial debut,
he knocked it out of the park.
He knocked it out of the park, and he took a lot of risks.
Absolutely.
He could have played it way different, but I think taking the risk that he did, it was, I mean, like I wanted to place it higher, but it just,
I had to give it some respect that it deserves, but unfortunately can't make the top 5.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, he could have done what I'd expect him to do, which would be just a general audience comedy. He made probably the polar opposite.
A general audience, you know, 16:9, not 4:3 aspect ratio, you know.
Yeah, not shot on 16 millimeter.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot on like regular digital.
Yeah, and not have a character called fuck shit.
Yeah, that
like,
too.
He would have he probably would have done that well too. But I think I like the direction he took with this,
Absolutely.
and I want to see him do more.
Yeah.
I think this opened up his directing capabilities.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, and like I think I was telling you, that directing is what he wanted to do from the beginning.
Yeah.
He never wanted to act, and that just kind of came from it. So
Yeah, exactly. And
he's finally getting to do what he's more passionate about. So it'll be curious.
Which good
to
for
see.
him.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna have to basically sort of like
Yeah,
walk around
yeah.
So
because I can't talk about the films that are like my best picture nominees or stuff I've nominated on there before.
because of the J4U Film Awards that will be coming out soon.
Yes.
So make sure you check that out to see the official, both Luke's and the Just Free Studios Best Picture award show, basically.
Yeah. It'll be on January 7th, this Monday at 7 p.m.
Yep.
All right.
That's Mountain Standard Time, by the
Yeah,
way.
sorry, Mountain Standard Time. I forget about that. It's like, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I'll talk about a couple of films I wanted to talk about. Let's see. Oh, one of my favorites, from the horror movie genre was Hereditary, which it was really mixed by audience, like, perspective, but I freaking loved it, because it's the kind of horror film that I love, where it's not like kind of like a thrilling scariness. It's like a deep sort of like like mental scariness, because it uses some specific elements in it that use scariness in very small, minute ways. Like, you know, you wouldn't think like a tongue click would be scary, but like the way they use it in this film and the context of it, it's like
just like in The Knock.
I mean, kind of, yeah, actually. That's a good way to put it, honestly. But yeah, like, just scariness and some semblance of, like, small, minute details. And, to be honest, I'm not entirely on board with the way it ends, but it's still really interesting, if nothing else. I just kind of love that a film like this was, like, widely released, because it's a fucking nightmare of a film. Like, all the way through. And, I don't know. I guess, like, in some cases, maybe it's just because, like, it's so uncomfortable at points that it was a bit off-putting for some people, but to be honest, that's kind of my shit, so I
Well, yeah, that's good. I mean, it's a horror movie. Don't...
Yeah, it's like, some people watch horror films for, like, the quick scare, I guess, but, like, I don't see as much value in it, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely there. So the next movie I have, my number 4 spot for best movies of 2018, is actually A Quiet Place, because I really enjoy what it represents.
That's my number 4 as well.
Yeah.
Or that's my number 5, actually. So.
Okay, so we can both talk about it then. So basically, Won't You Be My Neighbor? A Quiet Place. Yeah, Won't You Be My Neighbor is so terrifying. But it had some minor problems, but John Krasinski, acting and directing, nailed it.
And writing it.
Yeah, and writing it.
Oh.
The premise. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just the fact that I could get scared in the silence. Especially watching it in a movie theater on the big screen, surrounded by people, all of them holding their breaths, by the way.
The ambient sounds.
Yeah, like, I haven't seen Bird Box, but I can't imagine there's an equivalent of everyone on their laptop doing this.
No.
Compared to a movie theater filled with people holding their breaths, like, so one person tapping their seat.
It made you feel like you had to be quiet yourself, kind of thing.
Exactly. Then there's that one asshole tapping the seat. Everyone looks over at them and like, shh.
Yeah. That's one thing I absolutely love about this film. It's like it rewards the people who are quiet in the theater for once.
Yeah, and then even the drive home is like I turned the music off.
No, I did too.
And I just drove
and
like.
It was one of those films that, like, and, like, these films, for me, are kind of hard to find lately, but, like, there's films that you go in and you're like, alright, it was a one and done, I never, like, okay. But then there's the films where you walk out and you're like, do I just buy another ticket right now and go straight back in? And that, like, that's the way it made me feel, even though, like, it's a horror movie with suspense and you not knowing what's going to happen, like, I still wanted to see it again, and that's what it
Yeah.
made me feel. And like, I knew talking about this film was gonna upset Luke because it wasn't
It's fine.
your favorite movie, but
It's got its good qualities.
I enjoyed it a
Yeah.
lot.
And like, I'll admit there are a few problems. Like, the ending note for me was like, all right, with the shotgun pump
Yeah.
cut to black, I was like, fine. But the amount of nuance it has
They, like,
in the acting,
cut it.
I'm
some
just
slack.
like- I love everything it represents.
Yeah.
Even the prompts, the message that it sends, in the premise, in the execution, I'm so happy with it.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's my number 4, and then your number 5.
Yeah.
Okay,
So then I can just say my number
just
4
say
now
number
to get
4, and you'll
back
be
on
back
track.
on track.
Sorry to bother you. I just really enjoyed, like, it's like what, like I talked about it earlier. It was one of those movies that I was like, some moments are like, this is hilarious. Then there's some moments that are like, why? And it's just like, it's just such like a fun movie, and like, I just enjoyed it so much. Like,
Yeah. It's also cool. It feels like it is very unique in the style it kind of tries to go for too.
and like, unfortunately, hold on, let me get the name of this movie right before I say it, because like it's on a comparable level to me. I couldn't put it in my top 5, but it's a similar enough movie. Hold on.
To Aquaman. That's my guess. It's similar enough to Aquaman.
Okay. I'm just gonna say Black Klansman.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
on a
that's
similar,
similar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
honestly, yeah.
it's like on a similar comparable level as far as like what they're trying to do and like how they go about it, and like, but
Yeah.
Sorry to Bother You was just,
Yeah. It feels like it's almost like Sorry to Bother You was like the fun, disturbing comedy about like telemarketing, and Black Klansman was fun, disturbing, kind of uncomfortable comedy about
the KKK.
the KKK. Yeah. So it's it's about like disturbing subject matter, but finding it through a really
And
fun
Sorry to
lens.
Bother You had like such a unique art style to it
Mhm.
that like, and then the ending was just absolutely hilariously disturbing at the same time, and it was just like, it made you leave the theater. This is like, as far as the movies I've driven the furthest to see, this was the movie I've driven furthest to see as of last year, because I had to drive all the way like 25 minutes to see it.
Oh wow, it's a real commitment there.
So, and I went in with not knowing what to expect, and I'm really
That's
glad
fair,
I went
yeah.
to see it.
Yeah.
So it was just a really enjoyable experience.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of my faves too. Alright, okay, now next for me. Alright, so essentially these aren't really in any order, they're just sort of like a collection of films I really like that aren't the Best Picture nominees. Next is Isle of Dogs. It's Wes Anderson, it's stop motion. I love all those things. And it's got like freaking such... The thing Wes Anderson is so good at is like with production design and like color choices for everything.
Mhm.
He definitely knows what he wants the film to look like, and he's like one of those directors where it's like his style is so weirdly specific. You can know what it is that was made by him like within the first 4 minutes or so.
Yeah, or even just a shot.
Yeah, just a
Sometimes,
shot.
Like you just see that shot, and like, oh, Wes Anderson.
Yeah, definitely. Someone can it's so recognizable. It's even parodied, but
Mhm.
yeah, like somehow he's able to keep it fresh within like new films from him, and I just really love this one too. And it's just, I just love it. It's just like it has like the very sardonic humor, but there's still like the heart to it in areas, and just I also just wish there was more stop motion films, honestly. But yeah, loved it a lot.
All right. So the next movie I have on my list, which was a total surprise for me, maybe not to some other people if you're a Marvel fan, but was Black Panther.
Yeah.
That's an origin story of a superhero that I was like, that's better than some of the Phase 1 origin stories. Like, it's a great superhero film, but it's also a great film.
Yeah, just in
like,
general.
Yeah, and I just love everything it represents, the story, the characters, even Andy Serkis. I loved his character.
He was fun.
Like, he was so much fun. Like, he was the Joker in a way that was, like, fresh. Like,
Yeah, fucking get him as a Joker at some point, man. Dang.
I mean, like, that was awesome to see. Like, my only real problem with it is CGI.
Yeah, that was a bit rough.
And
Can we talk about Chadwick Boseman for a second?
yeah, him and Michael B.
That boy, dang, like
And the villain. Go ahead.
So unfortunately, it didn't make my top 5, but I see where it's coming from. Had I not seen one of the other movies on my list like a week ago, it would have definitely been on there. But like, it was just phenomenal. Like, I enjoyed it a lot, and
Yeah, but Michael B. Jordan,
oh,
both acting and the writing, they made a villain who people were like, I mean,
he's kind of right.
like, that I think was the real start of like, oh man, so villains can be awesome.
Yeah, like,
Like-
and it's like
and actually empathetic villains too.
Yeah.
it's like villains can be relatable.
Yes!
That's what it is. Like, you're sitting there and you're like, well, he's got a point.
Like,
Yeah, like,
it's like
the fact you can see a little, and the fact that he showed the hero that the hero was wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That was definitely like a thing that kind of made it not just another villain. It was like a villain with an actual like interesting character.
you're like, who do I side with here?
Yeah, like, because you don't want them to like kill each other, but they both have like conflicting like
Beliefs.
things. Yeah, that
And the ending of the
Oh,
deaths
my
of Killmonger
dang, that was
that's the way his character had to go out.
yeah, that was the best way they could
Come
have.
on in.
Hey.
So,
Hey.
just update you guys. I'm just gonna have you kind of sit down. We're
Oh,
wrapping
it's
up the
fine, yeah.
podcast. So basically, help yourself some cookies. You can just
We've
kind of
got some
listen
people
while we're
more.
wrapping up, but
Yeah.
we're about to finish the best movies of the year in our opinion, and then go on to our anticipated for 2019.
And then we're
So-
wrapped up.
Yeah, and
Mark,
then,
you can kind of grab a seat.
then we go on to our
Just
next
if you
thing.
talk loud because the mics are further away from you.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
So that was your number
Yes.
3.
Black Panther is my number 3 for
So
this year.
my number 3, surprisingly, is White Boy Rick.
Oh yeah, that was the one you.
So I was talking. I asked because of all people I didn't even talk to you about because I knew you didn't see
I
it.
just didn't know.
I thought Luke would have saw it, but he hadn't yet. But
I
like,
wanted to.
I didn't see it in theaters. It was one of those movies that I rented after the fact, and it was just like a really like enjoyable drama, suspense filled, like based on a true story movie. And like those to me, I like them a lot because like they don't hit home, but it's like, okay, these are like, this is real, like there's real aspects to it, and it just makes you go into the film with a different mindset. And I think it was just a really unique film in that aspect, and I enjoyed it. And like the style from it was just,
Yeah, it definitely looked really stylized, and I kind of enjoyed what it was going with that.
and like cinematically it looked good and everything else. So I'm here for it.
All right,
to see
Luke,
it then.
what's the next movie you got to talk about?
Next movie I'm going to talk about. Let me see if. Alright, so that's definitely a nomination. Okay. Next movie I'm going to talk about is Mandy, starring Nicolas Cage. It is.
Oh.
It is. It's one of those movies that is definitely more a style over substance, but I would argue the style is more the substance of the film actually, because it's not much of a story besides Nicolas Cage's girlfriend gets captured by a bunch of cult leaders.
So
Yeah.
Outlast 2.
It basically is Outlast 2, except it's Nicolas Cage.
And,
but,
well, it's been a good year for him.
yeah, like, he's been in Spider-Verse, he's been in this, he's been in...
Outlast 2.
Could you imagine
That would
if
be
he was
great.
the main
That'd be a
character?
better game.
Probably less scary, but who knows. But the style is so, like beautifully constructed. It's like this thick, hazy, sort of, like, neon-colored kind of, kind of nightmare movie, horror film, kind of grindhouse sort of thing. It's got so much, like, style, like, compacted into it. It's like, can't have any more style compacted in. There's too much. But
It's overflowing!
it's overflowing. But yeah, like, literally, if you just look up the trailer and see what it looks like, if it looks like your thing, it'll most definitely be your thing. It's so crazy and, like, visually inventive and just, like, atmospheric. That's the one thing. It is slow, but it's, like, a nice slow. It's, like, a builds-up atmosphere and, like, with a beautiful score and all that sort of thing. And it's both, like, art house and cheesy bullshit, and I love it. It's, like, it's a mixture of two things. Because there's, like, there's like points that are like these beautifully constructed like images, and then you'll have a scene where Nicolas Cage watches a mac and cheese commercial after someone just like brutally got murdered.
I mean, you've just sold me on the movie.
Exactly, yeah. It's so wonderful in its like kind of competent insanity that it's kind of like I couldn't not love it, honestly. And yeah, it's just would highly recommend it. And also Nicolas Cage gives probably one of his best performances in quite a while.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, would highly recommend.
All right, so my number two movie of 2018, shocker to very few probably, Infinity War. Because it's really all of the MCU. This is the movie, basically, just to wrap that up.
It's like it was like a build up. It was like the 10 years of build up, and it's like, this is it.
And I'm happy, because my biggest fear was it wouldn't have the balls. Because Civil War, that was my biggest complaint. They played it safe. This movie, thank God they didn't play it safe. They made Thanos the protagonist, and they had the ending that, like, months before the movie came out, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if they ended the movie like this? And they did!
They did it. They did that.
So it's not even just because, it's a Marvel movie. It's the writing, cinematography, writing that many characters into a movie.
Exactly, yeah.
Cinematography, and the balls.
Yeah. Like,
that's why it's on number 2.
Yeah, like
that's my number 2 as well.
Yeah, like I didn't put on the list, but I love how much it is able to juggle all these characters and yet keep it consistently engaging and like both a fun action film, but by the end it's like genuinely emotional.
Yes,
and, it's, like,
and this year I know some people who are like superhero films. They're stupid. They're not cinematic. This year has been great for superhero films.
Yeah, dude, there's been
and
a lot of great
War,
stuff.
If you've been along the journey, this has been a great payoff.
Yeah, like
the few people I know who don't like this movie are like, they killed off the characters. That's why it's so great.
That's the point. That's the point. It's a story transition.
For my opinion, and for the reasons why it's on number 2, go back and watch our spoiler talk. That I already said enough on there.
We literally went beat for beat of the film.
Yeah, so that's. I mean, it was a shocker. I was trying to decide where. I knew it was in the top 5. It was just a matter of where.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And before we move on, I just want to say one of my favorite moments, because you just reminded me of it, is we were both there opening night. We didn't go to the same exact theater, but we were at the same. We're in the same auditorium. We're at the same movie theater.
Yeah.
And because it started at the same time, we just ended and went to his car and talked about it.
Like it was probably like a 45-minute conversation too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
about how happy we were.
And I just love that story. But anyway,
okay, go ahead.
I actually kind of like that story because I had a similar thing with mid-90s when I saw that because I went with Christian to go see that, and we were talking about kind of in a similar way. But let me see what I got next.
I just know I can't talk about my number 1 movie for that long.
Yeah, fair enough. Let me see. Oh, okay. I'll talk about this one. Another movie on this list was The Old Man and the Gun, which it's sort of in a similar way to how you felt about Won't You Be My Neighbor. Mm-hmm. It's just like it's funny. It's a heist film, but it's the most like wholesome heist film you've ever seen in your life, and it's so like nice. I loved it a lot. It's got like a really nice score and freaking. It's got like Robert Redford in it. And he's great, and there's just like it's just such a wonderful experience. I saw it like at 11 p.m. at a theater, and like even then I was just like, this is so nice. I love it. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like so nice.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, Fortnite Kid, hello, welcome to the live stream.
Hello.
But yeah.
So,
now on to number 1.
Which I think we have the same one.
I'm willing to bet we have the same number 1. And that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
It's the surprise of the year for me.
And I feel like shit because I can't talk about it.
Yeah, because...
Fuck.
Wait, why?
We're not letting him talk about any of the movies that were nominated for the J4U Award.
Okay.
Can you close the door, by the way?
Yeah,
but anyway,
you just sit back.
And I even remember when the trailers came out, I was like, I don't know if I'm totally sold. The second trailer came out, I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about Peter Parker.
It's like one of those. It's like one of those films that, like, if we were doing this podcast last year and we're like, I don't think it was in my anticipated films.
It definitely wasn't in mine.
And it was like, okay, and I went in there and I left, and again, like you said, it just made me leave and it made me happy.
Yep. Which, by the way, when I said one of two movies, when I was talking about not Won't You Be My Neighbor, this is the other movie that I just left smiling and happy.
And it's like, yeah.
Miles' origin story, probably one of the best Spider-Man origin stories they've told. Like,
and if you haven't seen our spoiler talk, since it is still fairly new, we'll refrain from spoilers. But if you want to see that,
yeah, we talk about it for a long time. 20 minutes of just that. So,
just spoilers.
if you want our full thoughts, watch that.
I wish I was at that spoiler talk because now I feel very, very deprived.
But just watch it. Support the movie.
Please support the hell out of this movie.
Do it.
Look, Sony's one of those companies that reviews are like, money tells them what to make. Support this movie, okay?
You wanna? The good thing is, so far, it's made like, it hasn't even been like a month yet, I think, since its release, and it's made like almost 4 times its opening weekend.
Good. It should make more.
It should. Please, dear God.
I want to show Sony that like more of this, less Venomverse.
Less.
This is what we want.
More passion, please.
Yes.
I'd like that.
Good writing.
Work on a project.
Are you saying Turd in the Wind didn't have passion behind it?
Because
had a different kind of passion.
Because before Spider-Verse and before I went to see it, Infinity War was my #1 movie for the year, obviously. But then, and when I left, I was in a really tough place because I didn't know how to compare it to other movies, because there's not much you can compare it to, and I just think overall, if you could look at every aspect, it did everything right.
Yes, and I think that's actually something that plays into its advantage. It's so unique. For being a comic book movie, it did it in a way that no other comic book movie had ever done it.
Exactly.
And I love that.
The
and
art style.
The heart, also. The heart of the film is so present. And just, you fall in love with Miles. Peter Parker is told in a way that has never been done before.
You could tell it was a passion project too, which I think more films need to do, rather than trying to find it, rather than it being forced. More films need to be passion projects because they overall end up being better films than that.
Kind of like, don't make it like director as commission, more as a director as they've wanted to make this for.
Exactly. Like, don't look at it and be like, well, they've made a lot of money in the past. Transformers, but let's just give it to someone who is gonna be passionate about this, and like I think that's what more films need to do.
Yeah.
AKA Bumblebee.
Yeah. So, but this Into the Spider-Verse,
it was a wonderful wrap on the year.
Yeah, it was the surprise of the year for me, and the best movie of the year for me. So
now we get to move on.
Well, Luke, what do you want to talk about? I know what you want to talk about. What are you going to talk about?
And my unofficial #1 is Shrek Retold. That's all I have to say about that. Anyways,
I hear ya.
So now we're going to quickly try and take down the last topic here, and that is the anticipated movies of 2019. My number 5
which
is...
we won't have a lot to talk about.
No, I think we're basically just saying the titles and what we're hoping for. So, my number 5 for me isn't one that I think is going to be like, oh, Oscar winning. It's a movie I hope is fun. And that's really what I hope for at the end of the day. And that is Shazam. It's got Zachary Levi. The direction has potential. Really, the villain is my current worry. Because that's something that I still think DC is behind on.
Yeah.
Even in Wonder Woman and Aquaman, arguably the 2 best ones they've done. Still, the villains, I think, are the worst parts of the weaker links.
Points, yeah.
So Shazam, I'm worried about the villain, but if they make it fun, that's all I'm hoping for.
Okay, so I get to cheat a little bit because of all the movies coming out. At number 5 is just all the Disney remakes in general.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's a lot
Disney
of them,
remakes in general, and then Toy Story 4. I'm throwing that in there too. But like, it just, I don't know. Obviously, I'm gonna see them all, and I'm just hoping that they're a good time. I mean, it's the same story for the remakes, and I'm just hoping that it's told in a fashion that can keep my interest for the full hour and a half, likely, that they're gonna be.
Maybe I've just gotten bitter, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm just kind of like, at this point, like, I'm gonna see them all, but in terms of excitement level, I feel like it's not like, oh man, this has to be perfect, or like, oh, this is gonna be suck. I'm just like,
Like, I mean, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
honest, like, I'm more excited for like Dumbo than I am for Lion King.
that looks really cool.
Dumbo looks like it's actually something that's differentiating from its like original.
Well, yeah.
In a neat style.
So as far
Yeah.
as the remakes,
That's
that
Tim
would
Burton.
be if I had to only choose one remake, I would probably. So Dumbo would be at 6, and then Toy Story would be at 4.
Can I also say, I saw the
Or 5.
yeah the the teaser that they had for Toy Story. I feel like I would have been more excited for Toy Story if it wasn't for the fact the trailer music is literally end credits for Hereditary, and it was like right after one of the most traumatic moments I've ever seen in the movie theater. So just like
Yeah.
no.
And I still kind of like the wrap up that 3 had. So that's another reason Toy Story 4 for me is just kind of.
But we'll see.
But
Okay.
what's your anticipated?
My first anticipated number 5 is Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Same.
That does look
The
good.
thing, so most of the independent stuff, I either one don't know if they even exist yet, cause you know film festival stuff and later in the year, and stuff I'll be seeing at Sundance won't count since it'll be just like in a couple of days.
Mhm.
But so it's gonna be for the most part kind of sequel stuff, I guess. So yeah, Godzilla King of the Monsters. I like kaiju films. Kaiju films are fun.
This one though, I
Oh,
love the
yeah.
premise
Fuck yeah.
of instead like in the past like Godzilla versus blank, Godzilla versus blank. This is Godzilla against all the motherfuckers.
It's
like that's awesome. to
That
me.
was
Yes.
already a movie.
The civil war of Godzilla films.
And the
There
premise
was
of
one.
CGI, I loved the last one. So if they can
Yeah.
keep the same kind of par and make all the fight scenes unique and interesting,
Yeah.
it will be amazing.
I hope King Kong makes a surprise cameo.
My guess would be like end credit scene or last
Yeah,
shot.
and
That would be
credits.
so lame. I want King Kong just randomly come out of the water and fucking punch Ghidorah in the face. That'd be the greatest thing.
Then
Wait,
dies.
he's swimming like an Olympic swimmer to King Ghidorah.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's just like there's a message like, where are all that people? We can't do this. There's one more. And then
And you just see a hairy arm rise out of the water doing this and
Yeah.
just walking on the shore.
yeah, that would be the best. The fuck you talking about? That'd be the
The
best
worst
thing
thing.
ever. But yeah, King Monsters looks exciting. I love from a visual standpoint how it looks. There's some like
Mhm.
images that are just like that is like awe-inspiring stuff right there.
Agreed.
Yep.
And seeing it in the theater, I might even like if it's shown in IMAX, I might even just see it in IMAX
That would be a movie to see in IMAX.
because it just looks freaking great. Also, this finishes up. If what I'm thinking is happening, this will finish up my trilogy of monster fucker films. Cause it started with Shape of Water, then it continued with Bumblebee, and I feel like somehow it's gonna end with this. Cause they have Sally Hawkins in this film from Shape of Water.
Oh.
So if they don't, they're just missing a complete opportunity.
Just
honestly.
masturbating in the ocean and then you see Godzilla rise up.
It's a love story
Dung
too.
dick.
He shoots a
Alright,
beam and she's
but-
done.
Anyway, so the next movie I
Number
have
4.
to talk about, my number 4, is It Chapter 2.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
because after the first one, I am so excited to see where they go. I mean,
Yeah.
of course we know because it's based off the book, but like the quality
Yeah.
of the first It and what they were going for. I am excited to see that with like adult pro actors. Like,
Yeah.
kid actors were amazing,
They
but
were.
don't get me wrong. But like adult aged characters, the aged versions of those characters, see how they grew up, and now kind of like childhood trauma, having to go back and face it again.
Yeah.
I should say face Pennywise again, because otherwise it's confusing.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to see that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sort of worried, but I'm still optimistic. My main concern is just like the adult half. At least I have never read the book, so I couldn't really tell you. But from what I've heard, like the adult section is the lesser interesting part, and
I can agree, but based off the quality of the last one, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, yeah. Also, just some people in production. There's like different people in production. Like they don't have the same DOP, which I'm really disappointed because that DOP
Aw.
is fucking the best.
He did some good stuff.
But I'm still excited though. I'm hyped, regardless.
So my number 4 anticipated movie, it would have to be, I guess it's Jumanji 3, technically.
Oh, they're.
I mean,
dang.
Well, it's a sequel to the
Most recent.
roast, yeah.
Mm.
And
Welcome to the jungle.
Because Kevin Hart confirmed that it was coming out in December of this year, so we have a long time still. But again, it's just one of those things that you have one of the greatest casts of all time, in my opinion, in a movie together, in a comedy together, and it's just like, I'm just curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to expect. I just want to have more fun with it.
Yeah.
I had fun with the first one a lot, and I just want more.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Alright. My number 4 is John Wick 3. That is something I've been actually pretty hyped up for a long time, because John Wick 3 is honestly, like, I'd say the pinnacle of action series in the current decade, because, like, freaking first one was great. That was a great one. Second one was, like, fucking high tier action, and I'm just hoping, I don't know if they can pull it off, but maybe like John Wick 3 will be like fucking ascending like level of action, because like the first two are like brilliantly constructed, like the story is super simple, but it's sort of self-aware too, and I'm hoping they can keep that up. And with some of the set footage I've seen, I kind of feel like they probably will. Like fucking John Wick riding a horse, and I'm just like, how where the fuck is this gonna go? I'm excited to see this, and I'm just like, I don't know. I like Keanu's blank face. He's a fun blank face man. But yeah, John Wick 3 I'm just super excited for in general. I think it'll be a great time.
Alright, so the next one I have is, boy am I curious. Like, so crazy curious, and I hope they don't release anything until the movie comes out at this point. And that is Joker.
Yes.
Because Joaquin Phoenix, A, hell yes. And then B, what they've shown is it's both a new direction, but also kind of treading some Heath Ledger territory.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see the spin they go with it, though.
Yeah.
Because from what I've seen, it looks interesting. Boy, does it look interesting. And I hope it's like, it's not your grandma's Joker. Yeah. I hope that this Joker is like dark, on like pencil through the eye dark that we got Heath Ledger for 2 hours without Batman. I
heard supposedly that this film was going to be like the DC equivalent of Taxi Driver, and I'm just like, I was almost going to put this on my anticipated list. The only thing bogging it down is just I'm so burned by DC that I don't want to get myself too excited for this. But literally seeing Joaquin Phoenix be in this film is like already enough for me to have a pretty sizable amount of hype. And I know that this is something that there are a good amount of people who don't like. The makeup really intrigues me. That makeup, especially for like origin Joker, like that's where he started with the makeup. It makes sense. He looks like a clown. Yeah. And from what I've seen, they've actually kind of roughly based the makeup off of a real serial killer clown. Oh, you mean Pogo? Yeah. Yeah. And some of the like choices they make. Yeah. But I like the blue. I didn't at first. It's grown on me intensely. Yeah. I think it helped with that little weird promotional clip that they had recently with the music. They dropped a lot in like 1 week though. So I hope like it was that and now nothing. Yeah, I hope it's like it's a bit sparse. Cause that was like, whoa, look at this picture of Joaquin. Oh, whoa, Joker makeup. Oh, a scene of him on a subway. Okay, stop. Stop right there. That's all you need to know.
It's like, oh, these weren't even supposed to come out.
Yeah. So it's like, and then there was leaked camera footage from like a phone of him interacting with the real clown. His mannerisms. Oh. Yeah. Just the way he walks around and interacts with the clown. I was happy. Yeah. But I hope we get nothing to do with the film. Anyway, that was my number 3.
Surprisingly, my number 3 is, and I'm not entirely sure what I want out of this movie, but it's Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, yeah. I'm not, like I said, I don't know what I want out of it, but I want something out of it. I'm at like a point where it needs, like, something needs to come out of it because we've gotten, I mean, I don't know.
Can I be frank?
Yeah.
The trailers have done nothing for me. And I wish that wasn't true. But, like, I think I was more hype when they had nothing. When it was just, like, scroll they're gonna be thing. Like, the, like, hearsay of, like, oh, younger Sam Jackson's gonna be in it. Oh, they might do this. Now that I've seen the trailers, I'm like...
What's called the end credits scene made me more excited for the movie than the trailers did.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm hoping...
It's Marvel. They have a good track record. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I'm sure it will be good.
Wait, end credits scene for...
Infinity War.
Yeah, I assume he's talking about the Nick Fury.
Oh, okay. I was like,
No, that's what I was. Yeah.
okay. I wasn't sure. Like
That had me more hype for the movie than the trailers did.
Yeah.
fair enough.
Okay.
It looks like fun.
Number
Mhm.
3 for you.
Number 3 is Us, directed by Jordan Peele. Cause I'm freaking like Get Out was one of my favorites from was it last year?
No way.
2017.
No.
Yeah.
20.
It's 2017.
Well, it's basically last year because we're only a couple days into
Fair enough.
2018. So.
But yeah, like that was for one like from Blumhouse. It was something like really unique in terms of Blumhouse's kind of type of films, and just like it seems like he definitely has a great eye for like unnerving visuals, and like this trailer was brilliant at that. Like there's just some shots that where nothing necessarily sinister is happening, but you just feel unnerved by the way it's like framed and like lit, and I'm just really interested. It kind of reminds me of almost like a if someone made like a Twilight Zone episode into like a housebreaking horror film, but just it looks so fucking disturbing and unnerving, and I'm just like I am here for that.
Hey Luke.
Yeah?
Damn you. That's my number 1.
Well, shit, damn it.
You just ruined my big reveal. But anyway, yes, Us, Jordan Peele. Oh my God, that
It looks
trailer.
so good.
Oh,
The
like
music, cinematography, everything.
those shots. I was like, I'm not a horror guy. I'm seeing that opening weekend, maybe opening night. Like that's a bookmark, 100%. Jordan Peele has my money already.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's the check has already been written and it's in the mail basically. Like, oh my gosh, that trailer was so awesome.
Did you see the trailer before it actually even got released online when you saw Vice?
Yeah,
Because that's what happened with me.
yeah.
I was watching Vice, and then that trailer's like, huh, this is kind of... Wait a fucking minute.
Yeah. Like, from the beginning, I was like, oh, it's just gonna be one of those, like, based on real-life drama movies. No!
And then
The trailer starts off like that, and then as soon as you see the woman on the beach, it's like, what's that? Directed by Jordan Peele. And I was like,
Date of
oh!
Sun. I heard about the film for, like, the longest time, but I didn't even know what it was about, and now seeing it, I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be great.
Yeah, I honestly, to me, it looks better than Get Out. Just like...
Yeah, like... I'm hoping it's able to, like, kind of elevate it from past Get Out, because,
like, at least scares. Like, Get
Yeah.
Out had a lot of good symbolism and what it represented. This movie, oh,
Yeah,
it
like,
was
it's
scary.
genuinely, like...
How
yeah.
the kid walks around. in the
God,
back.
freaking like like those specific images are just like so unnerving, but I can't even like emphasize why it is, and I think
Yeah.
that's why it looks so interesting.
So, that is my most anticipated movie of 2019.
I'm sorry I spoiled it for you.
So we'll
What am
just
I-
skip
wait.
that. What's your number 2 now?
My number 2.
And then I'll say my number 2 at the end. So we'll
Okay.
just keep going.
My number 2 is Spider-Man: Far From Home. Okay, this is because I want to see more of Tom Holland as Spider-Man. That's the main reason that it's on my list so high, is because Homecoming left me wanting more from him.
Yeah, I get that. If I'm being honest, I'm very intrigued, and I'm gonna see the movie right away. But the premise I'm a little meh on. I think it's all about the execution and how they execute it, which I'm sure will be good.
Absolutely. That's what
It has
comes
me kind of
down to.
worried with the whole elementals stuff. And the, hey, Mysterio's a good guy, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And it's like,
No, I totally
Okay.
get your concerns, and again, obviously, it's one of those movies I was gonna see, like regardless,
yeah.
right away. It's just I'm hoping
Mhm.
I have high.
The suits look great. I love the red and black.
Oh my. What about the self-save?
I like that one too. The red and black. I've
No.
never liked a red and black Spider-Man suit
Until
before.
now.
This is the first one I saw, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Hmm.
Like, even Spider-Verse Miles had a good one. Comic book Miles, I was like, meh. But, like, Spider-Verse Miles' costume, and now Far From Home's black and red, the first time I've ever been like, yes, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But, yeah, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is actually surprisingly Star Wars Episode 9. I'm
Hey.
genuinely like the thing is like when like the new sequel films were starting out, I was sort of like, we'll see where this goes. First one was like, yeah, this is pretty good. Second one, like, it grew on me with time, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm actually genuinely interested in where this is going. And so it's more of a kind of concern, but still incredibly excited, like, how is this going to, like, all wrap up in the end? How is this going to go?
Yeah.
And, I mean, like, to be honest, like, I know the whole director's change was a bit of a meh thing, but honestly, I'm more trusting of JJ to pull it off than if they had Colin Trevorrow to do it.
That's very fair. Okay,
Which-
yeah.
Yeah, so, like, to be honest, I have more faith in it now than I did when that was still a thing.
Yeah. So, if I mean, it's not on my list just because it's not on my list for not the reason most people wouldn't have on their list. I actually am kind of slightly worried about JJ just because the disappointing thing is that I did enjoy Last Jedi while most people didn't. But Last Jedi did make it abundantly clear they had no plans.
Yeah, like, they didn't really have,
They
like, a
didn't-
set idea.
It wasn't like, let's plan 7, 8, 9. It's, let's plan 7, what people like, yeah, we'll plan 8, and then we'll plan 9. So it's kind of, they're just winging it. Which isn't how Star Wars should be, I feel.
It really isn't, yeah.
And yeah,
that's, like... I feel like it won't matter as long as they are able to pull it off in the end, but that's a really high risk.
Yeah, and like, JJ, he played it very safe in 7. I appreciated Ryan had balls and took risks in 8.
Yeah.
So the fact that JJ's doing 9 again is kind of feels like it's kind of going like, oh, okay, let's play it safe again.
Yeah, that's...
Which, again, I might be more willing if they had a plan. Now that
Exactly.
it's abundantly clear they're just writing for the sake of writing,
Yeah.
it's
Again, like-
it feels like they're playing it the let's make money and do it safe route.
Yeah, again, most of my mentality is from a kind of blind, like, just pure anticipation.
Yeah.
Because, like, back in my head, I'm like, there's a good chance this might not be all that great.
And both as a good thing and a bad thing for Last Jedi is it ended on a note you don't know what 9's gonna happen.
Yeah, like,
You don't know where it's
at least
going.
there's that, though. Because, yeah, like, it could, then it gives it more open possibility then.
Yeah, which is both a good thing, but it doesn't get me anticipated for.
Yeah.
So it's a
It's-
good thing for Last Jedi, but in terms of that bridge between that movie and 9, I have really nothing I'm looking forward to.
Fair enough. I don't know. I'm just still interested to see where it goes, even if it is a bit of a,
Yeah.
like,
Which is
Cop
fair,
out.
because it could be great.
yeah. I don't know. I'm just invested in these characters enough to this point where I'm more in it for them rather than, like, the full end of the story kind of thing,
Mhm.
I'd say. I want to
Yeah.
see where their arcs end.
So,
Your number 2.
my number 2, and then we'll do your guys' number 1s, is Endgame. Which,
Yes.
no shit, is gonna be
Yes.
on the list.
Yeah.
But my hope is it's another movie. I hope they don't do any trailers for. I wish they didn't even do this trailer, and they just were like,
Yeah.
you saw Infinity War, Endgame is a thing. Just like, even if they did like a leaked trailer, or leaked like, just that end thing of the dust turning into Avengers, psh, Endgame, and they just released that.
Yeah.
That would have driven as much hype.
Maybe. That'd be kind of cool, actually, if it was just, like, the most, like, mysterious, like, no clips shown, anything at all. It's just, see it.
Also, it would have been great if they'd paired up like with a brand and just like normal dishwashing commercial, and cuts in the last 10 seconds of it is bum 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 ba ba ba, and then just Avengers.
Yeah.
And like if they dropped it in like the most WTF way.
Yeah, like, during, like, a soap... Like, they make just a fake soap commercial just to add that
Right?
into it.
Yeah. And just like during the soap commercial, there's like little Marvel Easter eggs, so the careful watcher's like, wait a second.
No, what if they had a soap commercial and the actor, like, turns into dust in the middle of it?
Yeah,
And
see,
then-
that would be amazing.
And then it changes
Oh my
to
god,
Avengers.
that would have been. I would have been more hyped for that than the trailer. But like, it's a movie I hope they don't tell us anything about until it comes out.
If this wasn't a marketing world, I feel like that would be possible and be the best thing ever, but unfortunately not. But it's
No,
a
I
great
agree.
concept.
But like, again, if it were just that, what we talked about, the fake soap commercial, and then turns to dust, and then fade to black as the music comes up, title, and then that's the only marketing they did
It's
until the movie comes out.
Yeah.
What's called you don't have to watch the trailers either.
That's true. But,
But
still,
I
it's
guess
like,
you hear it from people.
also,
talking.
if I don't watch it, I'll secondhand watch it from Twitter.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, like, if you're going to see a movie, it might just, like, randomly show up.
Randomly pop up,
Yeah.
Especially if
So,
that's my number 1 movie.
okay, so what do you want? Is there anything you want to say about it other than
I
it's
just want it to
Endgame?
be. It's Endgame. I want it to end well. I want. I mean,
True.
I just want it to. I'm just curious to see what approach they take with it. I think there's a lot of different ways that they could take it. Well, there's not a lot of different ways, but I'm curious to see which one they choose and what the payoff is of
Yeah.
the situation.
Alright, so my number one is actually kind of funny and has a connection to my last pick. Is a movie called Knives Out, directed by Rian Johnson. It's essentially like a whodunit murder mystery, and it has like honestly like the most fucking insane cast I've ever seen. Let me pull it up.
I'm curious to the cast.
I know Daniel Craig is one of them. Let me get the rest. Daniel Craig, Lakeith Stanfield, who is in Sorry to Bother You. Yes. Who else? Chris Evans, Michael Shannon, Jamie Lee Curtis, Don motherfucking Johnson. I thought he died. No, like I legit thought he had died at some point. I guess he's still alive. But like, there's so many people and there's like so many people, and I just really love like murder mystery kind of things, and just
Rian Johnson is the reason I'm curious, because
yeah, honestly, like that's the thing that got me interested in Star Wars again was freaking Rian Johnson's like direction in that film.
Yeah,
and just he's good with like genre pieces too, because I feel like his first film was a kind of like 1930s sort of detective film, but it was in a high school setting. Like literally the dialogue was like a detective story from the 30s, but still high school. And he was able to make something really fun out of that genre kind of subversion. So I'm hoping he kind of does the same thing with a whodunit mystery.
Yeah. Alrighty.
I just love that stuff.
So that is our list for best, worst, wish list, and anticipated movies for this year's Year in Review podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Raphael, Marco, let's see if we can hop everyone in the final shot so when Dylan comes back.
Okay.
But basically, from all of us at Just Few Studios,
New Dylan. Hi.
pointing, Dylan, poke your head in while we do our outro.
Actually,
My shoulders.
Yeah, then Raphael, you can poke your head into
I'll
here.
just float.
But basically, yes,
Sorry.
thank you guys for tuning in to the final Year in Review podcast. 2018 had some really great movie moments. It was great for us as a
crazy year.
channel.
Yeah.
It had some mem moments as well, granted. But yeah, I'm excited that we could start 2019 off like this. So thank you guys for watching the first podcast of the year, or first J4U podcast of the year. And yeah, thank you and take care. We'll see you guys next time.
Later.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye, my friend.